All right. Hello, everyone. And thank you for your patience. 7:05. We're just getting started here now. We've gone live. Hey, let's just get all of your comments in here. Anything you want to drop in, we're going to see it. We're using new technology tonight. We're using StreamYard, which is brand new for us. See how this goes. You can see we have a whole new studio going on here these days. And I put this thing up because this is how I'm feeling these days. And of course, I'm here with the beautiful, wonderful Evie, who, oh, you're my wife now.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's good to be here with you.
Absolutely. So very excited for this. We're going to just go through everything we possibly can. We'll see what the results are as they're coming in. We're just about to start getting first results here at 7 o'clock. Some of the polls close. So we'll be taking a look at that. Now, this has been obviously a very contentious election. I can't believe even how far apart people are.
Mm.
Do you think it was like this? That's why they said you never talk money, religion, politics at the Thanksgiving table. I mean, has it always been this divided and now we just know about it? Am I caught in my own little Twitter echo bubble and other people are caught in their Reddit bubbles or Instagram bubbles? Have we been successfully
squashed,
split asunder?
Yes, I would say yes, but the reason I think that is because over time, I think we all have our own sort of media platforms that we personally enjoy more than another one, and we don't have a cohesive place, a town center, or what would you call it, if you will, where everyone comes together and brings their ideas and has a common understanding of what's going on in the world, right?
Yeah.
Where is that town square? That's the word I was looking for.
All right, people are saying my mic is quite muffled, so I'm going to just bump it up. Let me know how that does. Okay, mic is not good. I hate that. I hate audio issues, so this is a new thing for us. So here I've dialed it up. I am now speaking much more loudly, and if you want, I can make it even louder. Better. Okay, better, but not perfect yet. So we like perfection. Okay, here I am, even louder yet. That's it. There. I'm pumping in the red. I don't want to sounds like I'm in a tunnel. Okay. Better. All right. Thanks, Barry. Got it. So obviously a learning curve here on how StreamYard interprets this stuff. Indeed. Too much, he says. Okay, let me dial it back. Thanks, Barry. All right, there. I'm now just touching the reds. Evie, go ahead and talk. Let's see where you're at.
Hello.
Yeah, you look about the same. Okay, there you go. All right. So
so I was agreeing with you. I think we have been.
It's pointed at my mouth hole. Okay, thanks. So
not up towards the ceiling.
It's good. You keep leaning that way. You're gonna have to come this way
to satisfy all these devices. You know how I feel about this.
All right, so let's start here. Let's start here with this. Election 2024. This is astonishing. So okay. All right. I think this is important. So we find out that CNN runs this exit poll and they say, okay, are you enthusiastic? Are you satisfied? Are you dissatisfied? Or they've graded out for you there. Are you angry? Well, when you add up dissatisfied and angry, that 72% are not happy. These are Jimmy Carter kind of numbers right here. You know, those are pretty bad numbers. 72% not happy. This usually does not bode well for the incumbent. We would say they bode bad. It bodes badly.
Yes. I mean, I'm thinking of them. I'm not thinking of there being only one incumbent because.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't vote for that lady. I don't know. It's bizarre. I mean, she's been installed.
Well, I think, only 7% enthusiastic. This is not good, typically for the incumbent. Now, I share this point of view. Obviously, I don't think that I'm dissatisfied, if not angry, about the direction the country's going in. I got my reasons, right? But to be absolutely clear, the things I'm dissatisfied and angry about are I see the degree to which the country has been misled. We've been gaslit, right? What has happened to the people who are injured by that mandated medical intervention and then gaslit and thrown to the wolves around that. That was wrong, inappropriate, right? The people who have been absolutely 100%. If you studied at all elections for the past, I don't know, since 2004, when they started first putting these electronic machines in, we've just seen shenanigans. We've seen things that just don't make sense. And by the way, it's super easy to fix.
It doesn't seem that like it should be that hard, does
Well,
it?
we went and voted today. That's how it should be. Just explain the process. It's so cute. We live in a little town, Chester.
It is so cute.
It's so cute.
So we go in there. They have paper ballots that some older woman has carefully tri-folded, right? And sorry, we're both struggling with a cold, so we're a little runny nosed tonight. But they have this machine. I don't even know what you call that, but it's a wood box that you put your vote when you're finished facing the way they want it to face in there, and they turn a crank and it actually sucks it into the box.
It mechanically sucks it in, and it dings a little bell, and they opened it up so I could see because I was fascinated.
Oh, really?
And they read there's a little plaque. It was made in 1921, and it literally has wood gears. And so when you activate it once and it sucks a ballot in, a counter goes off on the front. There's just no way to manipulate this thing.
Cool.
There's just
That's
no
neat
way
that they let you see the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, Dominion shenanigans, Shane says here, because it's absolutely, just the way it is. 100% Dominion shenanigans. So no bueno. And it shouldn't be that hard. So listen, by the way, 100%. If somebody tells you that these are safe and secure, and here's why you can trust these Dominion things, they're either not an expert, as they claim to be, or they're lying, or they just don't understand IT issues, right? It's already been proven in a court of law that these machines are hackable with a big pen by somebody who knows what they're doing, right? So at any rate, that's been part of it for quite a while. So what do we do that? So we talked about these echo chambers. All right, let's talk about echo chambers real quick. So I go to Reddit today, and I go in there completely anonymized. I go in through a private browser, right? And I don't log in.
Okay.
Because you get curated experiences. So I kid you not, I didn't cherry pick. I just went down the front page. Every 100% of things election related, I grabbed.
Okay.
So
that's going to be interesting.
First one are politics, which nominally politics would be kind of both sides. Kamala Harris suddenly becomes favorite to win in top election forecast. This is from Newsweek. So you got that. 538 election forecast. They did not do so well, 538 in the last couple. So, but there it is. So they run with that. Look at that, 35,000 upvotes, 3,500 likes. Now, if you dig around in there, if you dig around and go into the comments, it is literally 100% pro Kamala. If you put anything Trump related in there, you'd get auto-botted or admined out like instantly.
But it isn't, just to play devil's advocate, isn't Reddit more left-leaning though?
Well, it could be, but my experience of it is it's more than that. It is now a mostly bots, and it's a hive mind construct, and it's where all the pros come into play, right? So I'm sure they have like these Autobots that detect anything pro-Trump and delete them and put in 3 AI generated users that, make it all look like amazing and all that other stuff. So let's keep going. So the second one was Harris slashes Donald's lead among men in final poll. This is from Newsweek. 18,000 upvotes. Really, that dude. Look at that dude there. I know you're attracted to him, Evie. I can tell. That really does it for me.
That kind of guy right there. Woo! It's getting hot in here.
How about this? Clever comebacks posting under irrelevant daughter Tiffany Ariana Trump. Tiffany Trump writing a few points to reiterate as you head to the voting booth. Project 2025 is not my father's plan. He's not read it and does not endorse it. My father will not sign a national abortion ban, and my father greatly supports IVF and wants to make it accessible to anyone who needs it. Get out and vote. Jay Black writing, Tiffany, he would need 3 guesses to pick you out of a lineup. You don't have to do this. So obviously Jay Black thinking he's funny here. Maybe not as funny as he thinks. because he's really just playing to his crowd, which is this idea that it's okay to dunk on her because she has Trump in her name. You could engage with the points there, because they tried to derail Trump with the Project 2025 stuff, the national abortion ban. And by the way, can we just be clear about this? Abortion is a states' right issue.
Mm-hmm.
If your state wants to do something about that, it's kind of up to your state, right? So if Trump wanted to end abortion, even if he wanted to, he couldn't. And if Kamala wanted to expand and preserve abortion, even if she wanted to, she couldn't. I don't know how they made this an issue.
Well, I was talking with a good friend of mine about this just recently, and I mean, that's something that I think has been plastered all over the mainstream media, no? I mean, that's kind of how they created their platform this time around. They didn't really campaign on much, but Trump being what's up?
Nothing. People still saying my microphone's crackling. I don't understand what's happening here.
I don't
know.
I'm not sure how to help you.
Well, keep going. I'm gonna touch base with Barry here real quick.
Okay.
See if he can help me.
Anyway, I just found it interesting that somebody that is very well read and educated in many ways was just like, Trump's gonna take away my right to choose, and I don't want anybody deciding that for my body, and I totally can appreciate that on some level. But it's kind of ironic based on how things went with the pandemic and the things that were forced on people, etc. It's weird to me to hear some people getting really upset about that, but at the same time, where was the outrage when we got these experimental things pushed on us, by big pharma during that awful pandemic? So,
yep.
All right. Your mic looks better, I guess.
Well, it's funny because we've got VT Gothic saying that it sounds fine. So just so everybody else can see this, just to prove, sounds fine to us. Okay. Mic is fine.
Okay. Well, we're sorry to anybody that is having a hard time. I don't know what that could be.
At least your mic's not crackling. Okay. So, okay, it's fine. We're over that.
Okay, good. I'm trying to follow you here. It's a little hard.
We're all good. Okay. So here you see me talking with my team on my Slack channel. What the F? So, all right. So at any rate, but you can sort of catch the vibe here on Reddit, right? And this is, again, I'm just picking them as they come. Our Texas, this is, I got to confess, Team Harris has not been the best at memeing. I just, they try, bless their hearts. All right. So, at any rate, all good. But I agree. I agree with Dracula here, that they have been openly cheating for 4 years. They won't stop tonight. They will happily report about it tomorrow. And the left does have trouble memeing. It certainly does. So when we look at this, what I'm concerned about, see 31,000 upvotes there, 1.7 thousand comments. I don't know how much of this is bots anymore. I used to go to Reddit all the time, and then I detected this shift. And when it really first happened, this is weird. The first time I really noticed something was off, and I remember that one of our Peak Prosperity subscribers and I were chatting about it by PM at the site at Peak Prosperity. And what we were chatting about was in 2019, before COVID, there was all this anti-vax stuff that was all over the front page. Remember those?
I remember that.
Yeah, they had like
about measles and all sorts of stuff. Yeah,
they had pictures of graveyards and said, an anti-vax child, convention, all that stuff, as if to imply that if you don't take a vax, you just die, right? Which is a really weird thing, because it's that the data doesn't even support that. Point was, that whole campaign was running in earnest before COVID came along. And then COVID came along, and it was all about the vaccine, right?
That is kind of strange.
Yeah, it's beyond strange. Anyway, I don't like coincidences.
Not coincidence.
Like that. I don't like coincidences. Okay. And Then you had this, which under our Democrats, you could expect that 51 registered Republican for 30 years is the claim, changed party to Democrat and voted for Kamala to end the crazy 13,000 upvotes, lots and lots of comments, carrying on. Literally just going down. This isn't our picks, okay? Our picks. Newly minted American and first-time voter in Pennsylvania. So newly 21,000 upvotes. But again, this is just going straight down the front page. So if you just went to this front page, you'd be like, wow, this is overwhelming. It's like 100% for Kamala. 100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carrying on. First time veteran voter, Kamala and Tim, straight blue ticket in Texas. Maybe not. We don't know. By the way, I look at that lady and I'm not a manager. I'm scared of that.
Karen.
I'm so.
No, but this is sad though. This is what has happened to us. Like, we've been polarized in a way to the other team. Obviously, they are, and this is why I don't like spending all my time online, because I find that it is just kabuki theater BS, where you really aren't being given the truth. You're not being given a fair rundown of what's happening on any subject at all, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I think we've hit such a mass corruption level, because if you think about it, Chris,
Mm-hmm.
all of the big media companies except for X are owned by people that are all for censorship and fall on the same line.
Yep.
So it makes sense to me, but I think the bots is adding another level of they're just polarizing people further.
Well, they're trying to manufacture consent and create an appearance of
thank you
of conformity where there really isn't any.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the one thing I know that that the left really likes and needs is this sense that they're all on the same side. They
Mm-hmm.
really need their conformity.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because as we'll talk about maybe later, this has a lot to do with something called mass formation psychosis. It's about your adherence to the ideology of your party is actually one of the most important things you can display. It's actually more important when it goes far enough than your own family structure. That's how we saw in World War II in Germany, people would turn their own family members in.
Mm-hmm.
In Stalin Russia, people would turn their own family members in because the fealty to party, to state, became stronger than the attachment to family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're really after here, I think. And so that's why I care. That's why I care a lot about this particular election, because it's I don't like the censorship. It's anti-American. I think they just fundamentally don't understand where prosperity comes from. Guess what? It actually comes from people being free and independent and having private property and private thoughts and private matters and private affairs, pursuing their own aims. That's what gives you prosperity. There's no example in all of history where prosperity came from locking everybody down, gaslighting them, making them feel insane, poisoning them with food, opening up their borders, and otherwise demeaning the most successful people in your country. So right now, the left 100% hates Elon Musk. He is by far, think what you will about him, the most creative person we've had since Edison, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy has managed to catch giant rocket boosters with tweezers. He is the space program now. When he started that, people were like, you can't compete with NASA. I was one of them. Like, what are you going to do? He's like, watch. And
They've got
did it.
unlimited funds and you don't.
Oh, we're going to make electric cars. Nobody makes them. I'll make them. Right? You can't do that. He did.
Yeah.
Right? Just on and on. And remember, he made his early money on PayPal. You can't compete with MasterCard. They did. Right? So he's actually kind of a genius. But now the left hates him because he's like, yeah, this free speech thing is actually important. He gets that as an entrepreneur and as a businessman. He gets that. He gets that. It's interesting.
He got totally red pilled.
He did. He got totally red pilled. So taking a look here, any cop does not believe a coincidence is random. They know that it is profound and needs to be investigated. Cosmic Wench says it. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going to show you some coincidences that are popping up pretty soon here. We'll go to those. So again, I'm just, I kid you not, I'm just going down the front page of Reddit. I'm just grabbing stuff. Here's the left trying to meme again. You want 4 years of Trump? It's kind of a weird meme because I'd be reasonably certain that those two guys on Pawn Stars,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess, probably would be on Trump's side more than Harris's side. Just as a guess, right? Maybe not. Anyway, so that's where we're at, and of course, and then I come down to this: our Minnesota, Al Franken, a senator from Minnesota, saying, "Vote, damn it, for Kamala." Why? Because she trusts women to make their own healthcare decisions.
Didn't we just talk about that?
Didn't we just talk about this? Wasn't there this whole no jab, no job thing? Wasn't Minnesota kind of at the center of all of that unfortunate dystopian behavior? Wasn't that part of this whole thing? Right. So, and then he says, oh, she'll cut middle class taxes, but make the wealthiest pay their fair share. Like, cool. Well, what's she been doing the last 4 years? Why is this future tense stuff?
She's holding back. She's saving the best.
Is that it? It's a strategy?
I don't know.
She'll renew the child tax credit. So, okay. I could disagree with all those things. She's going to give $25,000 towards first-time homebuyers. Weird. Just really kind of weird on that one. Because a lot of those first-time homebuyers may or may not be U.S. citizens. And where does that $25,000 come from? Who's paying for that? At any rate. And insulin at $35 a month for seniors, expand Medicare's ability to negotiate with big pharma. She'll continue to take action against climate change while simultaneously creating jobs at home. Now,
why are we listening to Al Franken again, though?
I guess.
I don't.
Well, I just love this last part. Kamala will uphold our Constitution. So here okay. The Constitution consists of some things, not least of which would be the First and the Second Amendment. Those are the first two. Why? Because the first is the most important and the second helps you keep the most important one. That's why they're arranged that way. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech. Right? What are you laughing at?
I picked the wrong time to drink seltzer water.
Oh, yeah, that can go bad if you're not careful. No chugging.
Sorry.
No chugging the seltzer water. We'll just get the camera on you there. So, but this really offends me because the Constitution has just absolutely been thrown out the window. And it drives me nuts, in particular, the First Amendment. But she's been very clear about the Second Amendment. She came right out, even though, remember, they got Tim Waltz out there and he tried to load a shotgun, but he almost didn't know which way the shells went in and he couldn't quite get the thing to operate. And
it was embarrassing. Yeah.
They were trying to give him the man upgrade treatment. Did not go well at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she's coming after the Second Amendment. She said it very clearly. She said it. First day in office, I will sign a law to take these, so they don't understand the left, the importance of the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, any of them. I don't think they really understand this stuff. But then again, we're talking about people who raised the shoplifting limit to $950 and were surprised when suddenly the sidewalks of San Francisco were covered in dung and there was shoplifting happening everywhere in a rampant basis. So
they tried to make it better and they raised the limit in order to deal with that. Is that what it was? Yeah, because they didn't want too many people going to prison for that.
Yes. I don't know. But they couldn't connect the dots between actions and consequences.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, I don't understand. We raised the shoplifting limit to $950 and now when you walk into CVS, everything's behind a lock and key. I don't engage with those stores. Anybody else have what am I going to do? Can you unlock this cabinet? I need a toothbrush.
Or I need to look at the back of whatever it is and read ingredients.
Yeah,
that'd be obnoxious.
I'm thinking about investing in lip balm. Can you open this case for me? It's just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. So at any rate, and then not to mention help other democracies uphold theirs, like in Ukraine. So this is one of the things that I'm pretty excited about, that I think I saw Tucker Carlson actually nail during one of the convention pieces.
Okay.
So what he said for me was, he said, what Trump is allowed is he's allowed us to talk about the truth again.
Mm-hmm.
That's just been missing. We can't talk about stuff like this. Is fundamentally not the truth, right? This is just complete garbage right here from Franken. Okay.
Yeah, it's not factual.
Democracies will help people uphold theirs, like in Ukraine. Okay, can we talk about that? Right. So they said she's going to uphold women's rights. Defiant Els put it perfectly. He said, hey, if Trump wins, you're not going to lose your rights because it's up to the states. If Kamala wins, she can't change anything because it's up to the states. Hope that helps. Right. Like it's this simple. Al Franken is a senator. He should know this. This is not hard. So he's just lying on purpose, right? Which makes Al Franken like a complete POS, I think.
Do you think it's that he's lying, or do you think that he's gotten swept up in this? I mean, I've never seen anything like the last few years in my whole life.
All right.
Something's happened, and maybe I'm diving into the Matthias Desmet mass formation too soon. Stop me if I am, but I think that there's something going on. Like, you think MK Ultra stopped in the 70s? I don't think it did. I think all the ways that they've learned how to manipulate and usher in whatever ideology they want and brainwash people, I think that's what happened, because it's not logical. Like, Al Franken presumably is some sort of an intelligent man, I guess, to get where he is. But I mean, how could he not know that? It's got to be deeper than that, and it's more powerful than that, because people are willing to.
Well, Steel Man. So what you're saying is he just got caught up in this. He's a very intelligent man, right? He's a senator. He's a U.S. senator, and he got so caught up in this that he forgot how things work, and he's unable to like complete sentences that make sense anymore.
I think it is kind of like that. It seems like there's a mind virus going on.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Like Trump derangement syndrome. People are so insane about hating on him.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. I don't even hate anybody like that.
Well, this is an important point, particularly on this thing around democracies for me.
And I have reason to.
Well, sure, but this thing about democracies that he's pointing out, I hate this, right? We have to protect our democracy.
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean?
Which part?
Whose democracy? What do you mean ours? Is that the possessive hour? You mean yours, not mine? I mean, what is it, right? So, well, let me pull something up real quick then, because I didn't know how to make sense of it, and then somebody finally put together a little AI generated meme that helped me understand what they were actually after. So let me see if I can pull this up. It should be in here. Why is it not in here? Did I put it somewhere else? Weird. Okay, just keep going. 1 second.
Just keep going. I'll read some of the Casey Kane says the left hates a lot of things in people. It's full of hate. And I've noticed that too. I've noticed that as well, Casey, because it seems like when you go to a Trump rally, everybody's just excited and happy. I haven't been myself, but from what I've heard, people are just grateful to see other individuals and enjoying themselves. And there's not a bunch of hate towards, somebody that might want to vote differently. But the reverse is like ridiculous. Like, if you're wearing a Trump hat and you go, into one of those rallies, they knock it off your head, they throw drinks at you. Like, it's crazy to me how people are acting. I don't know how to make sense of it. I'm curious to see what other folks think about it, because I haven't been able to parse out what's happening, but there definitely seems to be a clear divide between people that have lost their minds and people that haven't.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is or why.
Agreed. Hey,
what's up?
You're going to want to just listen in on this.
Oh, okay.
So I found it. I found it, and it's kind of hooked on there. So you can just like hold it up into your ear if you don't want to like struggle with like putting it on. So I think this explains it right here perfectly. Somebody used AI to replace every mention of our democracy. They replaced it with our bureaucracy. So let's listen in.
Democrats fail, it might be the end of American bureaucracy.
Our bureaucracy really is in fundamental peril.
The foundations of American bureaucracy under attack. They want to destroy our bureaucracy.
We are a bureaucracy in danger.
We're watching an election where people are on the ballot openly advocating the end of bureaucracy.
That's what Republicans are doing, attacking bureaucracy, attempting to destroy bureaucracy, and they're doing it with glee.
This is the end of bureaucracy in America.
When will America stop sleepwalking towards the end of bureaucracy?
Right. It's Democrats versus, as Bill Kristol says, the end of bureaucracy.
We are essentially, as Neil put it, one vote away from sort of the end of bureaucracy as we know it.
I think our bureaucracy and the stability of that bureaucracy is really the thing on the ballot and really so important.
There, did that clear it up? It really cleared it up for me. I thought that made a lot more sense. There.
Hey, by the way, can you go down to the bottom so I can see the new comments?
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, so thank you, Brenda.
That's
yeah,
sweet.
we'll feel better. See, I haven't had a cold. This is just a cold. We used to have them. I haven't had one in years because I take my vitamin D and stuff. So this is actually a it's a weird experience.
He's being a big baby.
What?
He's being a big baby. Yes.
Just
like, oh, I might be dying.
No, I've been pretty good about this one, but I have been that way in the past. So I'll give you that because I'm a guy, you know, we don't just like
I'm trying to get my wife on over here.
Wake
Okay.
up the next day and keep moving. It's just not how we're built. Okay. Totally different process.
Sorry.
But to complete this other thought though, I mean, let's just go there. So can we just be clear about this? Ukraine is not a democracy. They keep saying that. False. Its last free and fair election in Ukraine, not held under an ultranationals jackboot after the 2014 coup, was in 2010. All elections have been suspended since 2022. And Zelensky's 5-year term from 2019 expired months ago, and nobody knows what's up, right? And remember, so Al Franken also said, Kamala's going to care about women's rights. She's going to care about women's rights, which confuses me because remember the old Rod Serling voice? Imagine saying you stand for women's rights while letting men dominate women's sports and nominating men for Woman of the Year.
There it is. There it is.
Come on. You can't say that and say you're for women. I mean, it's like they just want you to just forget about this completely. I don't understand this.
Your cold was probably caused by climate change.
Absolutely it was. Yeah, nothing we can do about that, absolutely was. So, but how about this too? So remember in the Olympics, there was this allegedly female boxer, right?
And the woman was like, I'm not getting near this.
Yeah, she just X'd out of that whole thing. And so breaking. Redux Mag obtained a French medical report of Imane Khalif. It showed that he has XY chromosomes, male testosterone levels, testicles, and a penis. It might be a micro penis, but it is a penis. We're very sorry he feels bad about the micro part of that, but it happens. So let's review. XY chromosomes, male testosterone levels, testicles, and a penis. Even if it is a regrettable penis, it's fine. So he stole a woman's medal after beating up multiple women, and leftists and the media defended him. Democrats hate women. Can we just call it for what it is? They actually do.
I think they do.
I think. How about this? According to Odia, the clinical report reveals an MRI determined that Khalif had no uterus, but instead had internal testicles, a micropenis resembling an enlarged clitoris. Chromatopal tests first confirmed an XY karyotype. Iodia also noted that doctors suggested that his parents may have been blood relatives. Just saying. It's just
so something's not right.
Little detail. Remember J.K. Rowling back here in January 8th of 2024 said, could any picture sum up our new men's rights movement better? the smirk of a male who knows he's protected by a misogynist sporting establishment, enjoying the distress of a woman he's just punched in the head and whose life ambition he's shattered. And Emma Vigeland here, because Twitter's forever, said, Emaine is biologically female and identifies as a woman, but Rowling's tweet calling her a man is still up. Why? Why? TERFs are the real misogynists. They reinforce notions of protecting traditional femininity by policing who is and who isn't female with inherently patriarchal binaries. That's a lot of way of saying, no, we go by the genetic
Who is
data.
it? I'm sorry, what is a TERF?
I've forgotten now what the acronym stands for. It's we should look it up.
I bet
if anybody can
they
post
know.
a comment, I forget. But that's the whole point of this whole thing. That, I mean, literally, I'm not going to blame this all on Kamala, but I am saying that the people who are supporting her, want us to have to agree with the delusion that this is a female, right? It's not. You can just eyeballs, right? Don't believe your own lying eye. Oh, thank you. So here's TERF.
There we go.
Oh, a trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Oof.
That's
That
a lot
sounds
of words.
bad.
It sounds terrible. I don't know what that is, but it sounds bad.
You don't want to be that.
Thank you, Slivnik. I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't want to be one of those.
Oh, that's funny.
Also, Elizabeth Adams came in for the win on that one too, and so did Ether Demon. Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, but still, come on. So remember this. I mean, this was a big thing at the time, right? The nation. We must defend Imane Khalif. Transphobia hurts cisgender women, like the Algerian boxer.
It's not a phobia. It's just
No, it's good.
you can't see. This is what annoys me about all this. You can't reason with this because it's illogical to begin with. It
Yeah.
makes no sense. How do you have a conversation or rebut what they're saying? It's not based on anything logical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mamanda Panda, I totally agree. You're absolutely right. Reddit is a majority bot sewer.
It's
just good to know that. It's just good to know what territory you're playing
It's
in.
true.
That's all fine.
When did you realize it was a sewer? Was it during COVID?
It was during COVID when they 100% the bots excluded. They were just 100% pro pharma, right?
Yeah.
You're a complete horrible human if you don't 100% agree that all vaccines are always good. Kind of a thing. So that's where they went. At any rate, that was kind of some insanity right there.
I'd say.
And I'm not going to read this one out, but I just couldn't help myself on this next one because I didn't hit post. Okay.
Okay.
I wimped out on this next one.
All right.
But this one really bothered me. Okay. This guy, Dan Barkov, says, just voted for Kamala Harris while my daughters watch. Trump ain't grabbing our country by anything anymore. And that's what I wrote down there. Great going.
Ooh, that was good, honey.
Dad
How
of the
come
year.
you didn't?
Dad of the year. I don't know. Maybe it would, it would help me. I don't know.
I know what you mean. I mean, you're trying to take the high road and not get down to their level, but
no, I mean, come on. It's just I don't understand how these people think, right? It's like, I'm defending my daughters. Like, do you know Kamala's background? That's the path you want her to take. Are you sure about this?
maybe they haven't heard about her or they haven't believed what they heard.
Yeah.
See, that's the other thing.
Absolutely.
That's actually
yes,
the point, I think. And I think a lot of people probably can relate to this. I think that they've been people have been abdicating doing their own research. They no longer go and find out things for themselves. Like that dad probably doesn't realize what Kamala's background was, and he hasn't taken the time to go and look it up. And here he is, being all proud, thinking he's doing a good thing, and he just has zero idea because he's not bothering to do his own research. He's not bothering to listen to a channel other than, whatever validates his views.
Yep.
Right? I mean, you often go online and look at both sides, which I appreciate because at least you're not just filling your head with one thing.
Yep.
And then you get to make your own decision, right? And that's how it used to work.
Yeah. Once
That's-
upon a time.
This crazy town.
Um,
Well, I'm going to
so-
be praying in my mind all night for, I am praying for Trump, and I voted today as well. I just don't have my sticker, but I really do care about this country, and I think we're at a precipice, and
Yep.
a lot is going to be won or lost tonight, and not just because, you know, our candidate and the one we favor is or isn't going to be in the White House. It's the team and the people behind that individual, like, are going to make some very serious realities come to a future
it's
near
this-
you. Otherwise, you know,
I fundamentally don't think the same people who brought us no borders, men fighting women in the Olympic boxing ring and defending that, who have excluded and decided that white men are like the most dangerous things ever and demonized. Rather,
horrible inflation,
terrible economic policies, and have brought us to the brink of World War III. I just don't think those are the right people to take us through this next period of time.
Yeah.
Right. So that's that simple. But we're getting some early results back with 51% of the vote reporting. So it is early, but Trump is leading Florida pretty heavily at 53-45. You're going to need one of those patented, famous little midnight 2 a.m. spikes to cover that up. So
they probably ordered one already.
Yep. Yep. So Mongo the Pawn saying, yeah, Miami needs 400,000 pre-filled ballots. Stat.
Yes, Mongo.
Brain
lock.
Yeah. And I mean, this is true. I mean, Kamala has no real accomplishments that her party can speak to. Well, that's not true. Come on, let's be fair. She spent $42 billion and she got, that's right, nobody hooked up to the internet. Remember that one? So that was no good. Bruce Stevenson saying regarding Evie's recent comment about how it's impossible to argue against people pushing trans, please consider the process of menticide. Yeah. Yeah. So I like menticide as a so you know what's interesting, Bruce? I just interviewed Matthias Desmet just 2 days ago. Evie and I were down at a Brownstone conference in Pittsburgh, and that's great. We went much deeper, and we were in person this time. So I love interviewing people in person instead. So,
and what did he have to say? What new things did he have to say about menticide? Give us the deets.
Well, I think there was something I didn't fully appreciate. So obviously, we understand about the process of totalitarianism. It requires people to give their fealty to the state. Okay. It demands your party loyalty. And as he described the whole process of creating mass formation, there are 4 features to that. You need to create this free-floating anxiety, right? COVID was perfect for that, but also being mystified by where this mysterious inflation comes from when it's not mysterious at all. Very easy process. You know, just shrugging your shoulders at how terrible it is that all these homeless people now, you know, can't afford homes when it's not a mysterious process at all.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Right. But that it requires some form of sacrifice that's ritualistic. And the more painful it is, the better. So if parents can sacrifice their children, you got them in your mass formation psychosis. So that's fine. I got all that. And so then we're talking about totalitarianism. We could call it communism. We could call it whatever ism you like. But here was the point that sharpened up for me was I always thought it was power and control. Because that's what I see in these people. They just look like narcissists who just enjoy power, right? Like the power to come into your home with 6 armed people and kill Peanut the squirrel, right? That's the kind of stuff that totalitarians really love, right? You broke a rule, right? It doesn't matter that nobody ever in history has ever gotten like rabies from a squirrel. They allegedly used the well-being of the squirrel to come in as a reason to grab the squirrel and then kill it, you know? On and on. It's a stupid thing, but it's a pretty good metaphor for the whole totalitarian mindset. So I always thought it was about that, Evie. I thought it was power and control. They just love suiting up 6 officers to go get a squirrel from this miscreant who broke a rule. It's not that. It's actually more insidious than that. It's that What they're really after is to take your free will away. That's totalitarianism. So if you read in the Bible, God wants you to approach God from a place of free will. It's a decision you make. Free will is the thing that separates us from all the animals, if you can, right? Even if it's just as my friend VT Gothic, who I saw earlier in the chat, even if you don't know what your free will is, he says, well, often you can figure out what your free won't is, right? That's where you find your integrity. Like I won't be cowed into lying for the machine, right? That was me during COVID. It's kind of me all the time, but it's how it is. So I won't do that, which allows me to determine what I will do. And so isn't that interesting that everything that totalitarians want to do, they want to control where you eat, where you sleep, how far you can travel, what you can spend your money on, who you know, what you can say, what you can't say, what you're allowed to think. It's basically 1984, the book.
Who you're
right?
going to business with or what you go into business for.
Everything. But it's really just to subtract your free will from you, because when you don't have free will, then, I mean, pick it, there's a lot of evil that can result from that. So that's what I picked up now. And that is the process of menticide. It's really, there are people out there. It's like that scene, Evie, remember in The Matrix? First time Neo goes into the Matrix with Morpheus, and they're walking by, there's the woman in the red dress, but Neo says this thing. He says, many of these people are so hopelessly inert that they will fight to not be woken up, or something like that. That's what we're really talking about. I feel like a lot of people are saying, look, I don't want to think. I don't want to have to think. I don't want free will. I don't want any responsibilities. You know what? I want the state to make all these decisions for me.
Right.
They want it.
Does kind of seem like that.
Right? Okay. Well, I don't.
Okay.
So,
well,
at any rate, thanks again for that, Bruce. So we
Mhm.
just riffed on that for a little bit. And
Oh, I like this. Where is the current president tonight? Where is Joe Biden? That's a good question. I haven't seen him in a long time. I guess it was Halloween when Jill was wearing the panda costume and he was chewing on babies.
he was nibbling on babies.
Ugh.
All right.
Sorry, was I not supposed to say that?
Christ-centered keto. Julian Hart says, love how the studio makes me think of Chris is at a black piano with Evie about to break into song if things get too heavy and dark. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, look at that. Awful go on that. All right, so back to the message at hand.
Okay.
Hang on. All right. I'm almost there. We're back. Okay. So, anyway, what's wrong with these people? So, let me carry on. So Alex Berenson writing, this is the opposite of confidence. Mark Levine writing, my son is a college student in Philly. Since Friday, he's received 3 door knocks, 21 texts, 9 phone calls, 13 pieces of mail, all for Harris, 0 for Trump. We are going to win. Pennsylvania thinking that's a big dunk. 62,000 hearts on that. People liked it, but I like how Alex Berenson, if you don't know Alex, he's a former New York Times reporter. He was really on the side of fighting the whole COVID battles against the tyrannical insanity. And he said, hey, Mark Levine, New York City, remember when you said Central Park was going to be a mass cemetery for COVID victims? True story, bro. So at any rate, point is, maybe Mark isn't like your number one arbiter of good calls. So we'll see. We'll see how that one turns out. Excuse me. We also have some upbreaking. This is 4 hours ago, maybe 5 by now. Breaking Pennsylvania update. Republicans now even with Democrats in their mail-in ballot return rate. Of course, we saw heavy voter turnout today. So, but at least they were even with Democrats. In 2020, they were way behind on mail-in ballots. So they kind of caught up with that whole thing.
Interesting.
But remember, you are not allowed to question these things. You can't question any of this. We have the most safe and secure elections in all of history. That's just how it is. And I have it on good faith because remember when Biden literally said that, I said, this is a quote, direct quote, we have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Remember that?
He's so out of his mind.
Well, listen, when the filters come down, you kind of say what's actually true.
When was that? Was that a couple of years ago?
It was at least a year and a half ago or something. I can't remember when that was. Tractor Damage, nice screening, said all lefties have a covert narcissist mindset. The covert narcissist mindset can't do logic, reality, critical thinking, self-awareness. We supernova empaths, narc hunters use this to hurt them, or I guess hunt them, depending on how you look at that. Yeah. So I just did a whole piece on this today for my subscribers and at Peak Prosperity. I talked about this all from a psychological standpoint. So I went through healing developmental trauma, the book.
Oh, nice.
Not all of it. I just went through the 5 core needs people have, and then the associated wounds that stand up around that.
Oh, good.
And how we get that. But you remember, I know you do, but this was fascinating, Evie, at the keynote dinner Saturday night. Keynote address was Dr. Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice guy, like super connective, very warm.
Oh, he's great.
I loved the way he talks and assembled stuff. And he just had this random pile of notes he kept sort of fishing through, and it all flowed perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
But what caught me was, he did a lot of, he worked in addiction treatment and
addiction medicine.
So at the hospital he worked at, or the treatment center, they would bring people in and they had these intake forms. And after you answer some questions, they could sort of slot you in, like, why are you here with addiction processes? It might be that you were self-medicating because you had schizophrenia, or you were bipolar, or maybe you had narcissism, or you had what they call dark triad, which is narcissism, sociopathy, and Machiavellianism, all sort of, I think, tucked together in one place. So at any rate, when he first was doing that barely showed up, he said, on their intake forms, like as a thing that would pop out. And now it's the dominant thing, dark triad.
The dominant personality.
The dominant, type. Like there's a lot more unhealthy, unhappy people, cluster B people today than there used to be.
I believe it.
And you can figure out why that is, but maybe it's because we're damaging ourselves somehow. I think food, water, the medicine. Could it be the chemicals we shove into the babies? Because everybody needs pills and shots and stuff now just to be healthy. Didn't used to need that for millions of years, but now you do.
Maybe you're onto something with that, though. I mean, psychologically, I grew up, my whole family voted Democrat, and I am not in close connection with my family anymore. Not because of that, but for other reasons. We've just haven't seen eye to eye on a lot of different things, and I just don't feel like we have the level of healthy communication and relationship that I wish we could have, right? Mm-hmm. But when I was younger, I couldn't see it, and now that I'm older and I've done a lot of healing of my own, I feel like I'm in a healthier place, and I see the world differently as a result. And my view of a lot of people that are in the Democrat Party, because a lot of them were my close friends and people like just over the hill, basically, that I used to know, and I still love them. I just no longer really hang out and associate with them as much. So they all, I think, on some level, a lot of them have like a ton of wounds psychologically that they haven't addressed, and that they're somehow in that wounded state and unable to sort of unidentify as the victim. Like they need to be seen as the victim. And I feel like they're so lonely on some level. Like I really should be praying for them, honestly. They're so lonely that they believe these fraudsters, these politicians that are saying, we care about women. Like, no, you don't. Like your actions don't say that you do. You can say whatever you want, but like truthfully, if you look at it from a data perspective, that's not accurate.
No, one of my first, YouTube strikes. Well, I got 2, but in kind of in a row. But one of them was because I dared to talk about how the magic holy jab was dysregulating women's menstrual cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just data, and it was pretty bad. Now it's accepted, but getting a strike for that, right?
Yeah.
Well, wait, where's the Me Too movement? Shouldn't we care about this stuff? You'd think the number one thing you should care about was a verboten subject, right? So that's who these people stand for. It's this totalitarian. It doesn't have to make sense. It's not humane. And in fact, you can get pretty far understanding the totalitarian mindset. And by the way, there's people on both sides of the political aisle about this. I end up calling out lefties a lot because they seem to be, more dominant in this space. But trust me, there's plenty of Republicans who fit that bill. Dan Crenshaw, old turtleneck McConnell, on and on and on. Right? They have the same mindset, essentially with slight variations. But
Dick Cheney,
da, 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 da. But they're really about. It doesn't even have to make sense what they say. And in fact, that's the point. It's not supposed to make sense, because the more nonsensical it is, the more potency it has for the people who want to follow that sort of ideology. But we'll see what happens this time. So when I polled people at Brownstone, a lot of very smart people there, we all sort of shrug our shoulders. I don't think any of us I would consider to be like political forecasters of any repute. Everybody said their belief is that in a fair election, like if you had a blockchain encoded election and or you had paper ballots that were counted fairly, Trump would win in a landslide. But then everybody just sort of shrugged and said, I don't know how it's going to, because they're looking at maybe that they won't be able to overcome the steal. So that was, and these people, most of them I would submit to Evie were former Democrats. They feel partyless, right?
Yep.
Some of them might have been former Republicans also feeling partyless, because the Republican Party also doesn't like Donald Trump and is looking to take him out at the first possible chance it can, right? So take that for what it's worth. By the way, I wasn't super impressed with Trump's first 4 years in terms of who he picked for office. I think that he's going to have to really impress me this time, but at least he's not going to take us screaming on grease skids into deeper totalitarianism. I'm sure that. So,
well, he's got some trusted allies by his side. I feel good about Tulsi Gabbard. I like RFK Jr., Tucker Carlson, Elon, like all those individuals, at least from what I can tell. And none of us really know who they are because we've only met them
yeah, but
here
that's
and
who's
there.
on
We
stage
don't.
with him now. We're going to have to wait and see who actually gets installed in which positions. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
If you put RFK at head of HHS, I would pay money to sit in the meetings he has with those people he calls into his office to read him the riot act.
Well, you better watch out. You might end up on the ethics committee.
You never know. End Wokeness here tweeted out earlier today, if voting machines were down and voting lines got shut down in blue areas in a red state, it would be the biggest scandal. Media would be all over that. We all know that's true. This is happening in red areas in Pennsylvania. Zero mainstream media outrage, right? So this is what it looks like. Just a glitch here. So voting machines were down in deep red Cambria County in Pennsylvania. So say, hey, just stay in line. Remember, in Cambria County, Clint Russell of Liberty Lockpad said, hey, remember last time between Trump and Biden? This county swung heavily, 68-31 for Trump. So, of course, that's where the glitch happened. But it's not just there. Massive anger from Londonderry, New Hampshire voters over town's refusal to add polling locations as voters spend an hour just getting to the high school and 90 minutes to vote after that.
I
This
heard
is
about
costing
that.
us votes. A GOP official said, look at that. You should, first off, can we just be clear about this? Why are we not voting on a weekend? Second of all, why are we not voting with a secure technology by our phones? And I'm talking something as secure as me playing Candy Crush app or something, right?
It's true.
You log
they track
in,
your credit card
it's
for
your
all
account, I do secure transactions with my credit card, for apps, for little things, for email. Like my whole life is about secure transactions, but somehow we can't have it for voting. That's just too hard.
That is kind of weird.
It is mysterious.
I don't know what to think of that.
And then we saw that at Radnor Plaza in Pennsylvania, again, in line for 40 minutes, both machines went down. What do you mean machines went down? So first off, wasn't the point of machines to make all this easier?
You have one job, machine. One job every 4 years.
I don't know. Call me crazy, but maybe we shouldn't outsource our machine development to a shell corporation owned by foreigners. I don't know.
think?
I don't know.
Nah.
And here we saw in Apache County out in Nevada. Or is this Arizona? Yeah, this is Arizona. Sorry. Voting machines down all throughout Apache County, Arizona. Again, why do we have these? Why do we have these? We don't know. And then Kyle Becker, Donna Rain first writing down there said, I attempted to vote in Champaign County, Illinois early this morning, was told the internet for the entire county was down, so I couldn't vote. So then I requested a paper ballot, was told that they aren't set up for that. I asked, well, what's the manual process in the event the internet fails? Turns out there is not a manual process anymore. And this has been confirmed. So wait, hold up. I was told that the machines weren't connected to the internet, because wouldn't that be a bad idea? But I guess the answer is, well,
if the passwords got leaked, that would be bad too.
How are we possibly going to manage this from Serbia if we don't have them connected to the internet? Duh. Right?
Oh, we're laughing because if we didn't, we'd cry. Honestly, it's just so sad. No, but how is it that we manage so many different online, like you're saying, either apps on your phone or, I mean, you can renew your license online these days, and that's a pretty, secure, important document that the country considers you to need to have, and somehow we've worked that out.
Everything can be worked out. The fact that we do not have secure voting is simply because they like it this way.
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants to change. By the way, this is a both party kind of a indictment on my part, because we could have fixed this. 2004 was the first time I saw shenanigans, right? Where we had a county or several counties in Ohio where more people voted, allegedly, than it lived in the county, because they hadn't quite worked out the thievery yet. They hadn't quite worked the process out. Now it's 51-49, so close. Better luck next time. Right.
So I'll wait till you're done with your presentation to ask some questions I have.
Yeah.
I mean, what comes next? Like, I want to play this out, both scenarios, just because I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, word on the street is that we won't have a lot of these results in time, right? It'll take days. In some cases, it could be longer, depending on where and why. But if we don't have the vote, if we don't have an answer, if we don't have a clear winner, then how long do we wait? And if we do get it and it's not satisfactory, I mean, what do you think's going to happen? Are people going to rise up and be like, that's enough? Like, I'm all done?
Wow.
I mean, how does this end? This is the story I've been worried about, honestly.
Well, this raises some interesting questions. One of my chief questions is that I know this isn't actually the language that exists in the 16th Amendment, but it's close. The whole impetus of that was no taxation without representation, right? So that's the whole reason we had the revolution, all that stuff. So the point would be, I don't think you should tell me I have to trust you, bro, that this is my person who's leading me, who's going to pass new tax laws. I think that there's a strong case to be made, however this turns out, for people to say, you know what? I'm not going to pay taxes because you can't prove to me that those laws are being passed by people I actually voted for.
Okay.
So here's the key thing about voting systems. You should not trust them. They should not be trustworthy. They should be verifiable.
That's
right. If you can verify them, if you can say, wow, we have two stacks, we count them, we get the same number both times we count both stacks, then that's what it is, right? But they can't do that right now. You can't go forwards and backwards on these things. They often just come up with, it's so bizarre. These machines don't even count votes in whole numbers. They count them in fractional numbers.
What? Why?
They have their reasons why they think that's a good idea, but it's a really dumb thing, obviously. Hey, you might want to get your earpiece back in.
Oh, okay.
Check this out. Yeah, check this out. This is this is a lot of fun here.
It'll be a long day. We don't expect this race to be called early, but we are optimistic that we are literally about to be able to turn the page on Donald Trump and install Vice President Harris as the next president of the United States. It'll be a long day. We don't expect this race to be called early, but we are optimistic that we are literally about to be able to turn the page on Donald Trump and install Vice President Harris as the next president of the United States.
Install? She said install?
A little slip of the tongue.
That's a
what she-
Maine.
That's what she said.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we're all excited that we're going to be able to install.
Wow.
That's her senior advisor.
Well, everybody's doing it, the whole cheating thing, so why not? I think that's why they're doing it. It's just becoming more prevalent because nobody's stopping it. You know?
Yep. Excuse me. I mean, it's just whoa. You can't say
It's
that,
madness.
lady. But she did. And Champagne Joshi, which is Josh Walco's, he went to ChatGPT and said, quote, if you heard a campaign advisor say they are looking forward to installing their candidate, would you interpret that as nefarious or perhaps a Freudian slip? And ChatGPT said, quote, hearing a campaign advisor say they're looking forward to installing their candidate could certainly raise eyebrows, as the phrasing implies a level of control or predetermined outcome, potentially implying that the democratic process is secondary to the advisor's or candidate's ambitions. Well, that's at a minimum. Whether it's nefarious or simply an unfortunate choice of words depends on the context and tone. It might suggest a Freudian slip reflecting an underlying belief or desire to manipulate the election process, or it could just be casual language that unintentionally conveys a sense of control over what should ideally be a fair process. Yep, even AI is suspicious. Yep. All right, so we're at that part where I guess we can start looking at results now.
Somebody said your mic's messed up. I don't know.
Yeah, that was my bad.
Was it too high?
No, it was way too low.
Oh,
It was way too low. Yeah, I messed that up. So anyway, you can read it. There it is. Hopefully, but yeah, that I think AI actually really nailed that this time.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Really did that. So
good thing for Twitter, though. That's where you get all this news, you know? Imagine if we didn't have Twitter, how different this would be.
Yep.
We would be sitting, listening to either Fox News or CNN or something, hoping that we could get some information about what was happening.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not a fan of this thing.
Well, you just have to like.
It pulls on my ear.
All right, so now let's results. Are there any results? Okay,
Yeah, come on, let's go. What's happening?
We have this. So states where we have live party voting data, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, are states where Republicans are expanding their early voting lead.
Okay.
GMH, and this is back at the website. Hey, big congrats. AP has called the race for Thomas Massie. Now, he was running unopposed, but still, there is no better man for the job.
Oh, he's great.
He's really good. I'm a big Thomas Massie fan. He's plain spoken, straight up. And by the way, he has a farm.
He does have a farm.
Just like you.
I feel so sad for him because he recently lost his wife.
Yeah, I know.
It's just awful.
I know.
And he's still continuing to be like a powerhouse for free speech.
Look, we have a night owl from U.S. vassal state Germany.
Hello,
nice. U.S. vassal state. Hello.
That's funny.
That's
We're
funny.
so glad that everybody who's chosen to join us is here with us tonight. If you're just tuning in, this is Peak Prosperity's channel. This is Chris Martinson. I'm Evie Martinson now. And we're here just keeping you company as we get some of the results from today's election here in the US. We're excited to see what your thoughts are as well. So please drop us a comment in the comments section. We're trying out a new program, so we should be able to see it in real time, which is exciting.
And just for kicks, looks like we are getting some results in. This is going to CNN. This is live. So apparently Trump's at 90, Harris is at 27. Ooh, and the way they characterize that is Harris and Trump notch reliable wins. Good. So yeah, Trump, no surprise here. He's read up through this section here.
Yeah, Massachusetts, you're lame.
Massachusetts going blue, of course. We like to govern ourselves good and hard. Just how
put ourselves away wet too.
Yeah, ridden and put away wet. So Maryland, Vermont, and Massachusetts, only ones reporting in so far for Harris. But obviously, we would expect Harris to sort of take this coast and a chunk of this New Englandy region. But the real swing states are going to be right over here, Arizona, New Mexico, Wisconsin. Georgia's going to be interesting.
What about Nevada? What's happening with Nevada, you think?
Well, Nevada, it's interesting. It's been going back and forth a little bit. I'm not. That one's going to be. We're gonna have that one's going to go deep into the night.
You think so?
Yep.
Tennessee.
So interesting. Senate, one flipped so far to Republican. So looks like Jim Banks flipping in for Indiana. So could be Republican. So here's a question. Evie, what happens if Trump wins tonight? What do you think happens?
I mean, I would hope that we wouldn't see any kind of crazy violence, or they'd try to take him out, or the things that I worry about is that he does win and there's some other catastrophe or some other means that they try to take the reins of power, whether it's putting us on a lockdown for some random reason, whether it's another pandemic or it's an economic failure that they, try to instigate on purpose. I just worry that they're going to be really sore losers, and they're not going to allow that to happen. Or worse, they're going to try and take him out, and that's my fear. Because he is somebody who I believe is by and for the people. Like, he legitimately gives a crap about people. I think he truly cares about the common man, and he goes out of his way to help people when he can. And I don't know. What do you think? You started to ask me the question, but what do you think?
Well, I think if Trump wins, there's going to be a lot of very unbalanced, dare I say, even mentally ill people coming out because they're just not ready for it. So that's why I went through that whole Reddit. If you weren't here on the earlier part of the live stream, I showed just my unbiased. I went into Reddit anonymously and I just grabbed off of the front page everything political, and it was 100% pro Harris. So there are going to be a lot of people who are tuning into that, not understanding that that's mostly a bot farm, not understanding that that's just a big, controlled sort of simulacrum of a real experience, thinking that they're engaging with other humans, thinking that everybody thinks like them. So that's going to be quite a shock, I think, for a lot of these folks if they suddenly, how did this even happen? They'll feel betrayed, and they were betrayed, but they just didn't understand that they were actually paying attention to garbage at this point. I think everybody needs to understand very, very strongly what's happening in the fifth generation warfare space, which is all AI, all bots. By the way, Edward Snowden revealed all this to us in 2015. Well, things have gotten a lot more spicy on the AI bot front since 2015. It's very hard to tell you're not talking with a real human now.
They sure have. And
so if you can pay more, or you have your helping friends at Facebook, Google, Meta, Instagram, and they allow you to backpipe in and dominate with your bots to make it appear like you're more successful than you are. Well, I think that's happening. So I think that, the point of that's going to be that they're going to be a lot of deeply, deeply, deeply traumatized, really very unhappy, because they've been told that it's Hitler.
I know. They're actually going to be legitimately worried for their lives, which is bizarre.
It's a good point, though. So if you actually believe that Trump is Hitler, that's been installed as a concept in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't it mean then that you are completely justified in doing whatever it is you need to do to keep him from actually taking power?
I mean, I think people believe that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
people
they
believe
really
that,
do think that.
right?
I forget which college I read online today. They have like a wellness room set up where people can come and like have snacks and use Legos. It's like a therapy room for college students that
Yep.
are really upset about the election. It's going to be ready for them tomorrow. I bookmarked it, but I can't remember where I saw it.
Yeah.
What you
Yeah.
got?
All kinds of awesome stuff. So let's see. Let's start here. Into the wilderness, that which is crooked cannot be made straight. Absolutely. We have here, let's see what we're doing. By the way, not much of an update, but Senate is at 42 for Republicans to 32 at this stage. 44 to 24 in the House. It's what is it, 820 something right now. So long way to go.
Yeah,
but
when are the last? It's like Eastern Standard Time. It'll be like what, 1 in the morning or something, or 12 midnight. Is that when everybody's all done?
yeah, it's gonna take a while. Remember, in 2016, I went to sleep at like 10 o'clock. It was in the bag for Hillary. And then
Mm-hmm.
my phone started buzzing like crazy about 11:30, 12 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like,
And you're like,
hitting
what
me.
nightmare is this?
Like, look what's happening. I'm like, what's happening? I didn't get it. It was a bizarre thing. But we didn't know that till deep in the morning, obviously. I'm not sure we're gonna know anything for weeks necessarily.
Yeah.
Right. So this is here's a thing I heard from somebody, not mine, but they said, look, if one party cheats and makes a lot about the cheating, they win both ways. First, if they cheat enough, they win. And then they tell you you're a sore loser, and they bring out lawfare, and they put people in jail for daring to question their illustrious win. If they lose,
like January 6th,
then they get to say, wow, look at all this cheating, which they did, right? Mostly.
Mm-hmm.
This is an invalid thing, and we're going to have to decertify this or not certify it or whatever the next set of the processes, in which case it then gets thrown into Congress, and then Congress has to vote itself. There's a whole mechanism for this. I don't understand 12th Amendment, but I don't understand all the legal machinery. I'm not even sure anybody does. Well, because it has been run, so we'll have to hack through it. There'll be interpretations, misinterpretations, all that. But if that happens, I would bet dollars to donuts that Congress votes for Kamala. The reason is that Trump somehow represents a threat to the deep state. And all I know is we have not yet seen one person identified or prosecuted off of the Epstein client list.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that a lot of those people, plus the P. Diddy party tapes, I bet there's a big Venn diagram overlap on those two things, and that those are kept in hiding for purposes of control, because they're more valuable to the deep state as a mechanism of control. Hey, Congresswoman, you sure would be terrible to have this tape come out, right? Let's have you vote for the right candidate here in this, bicameral.
Or like all those celebrities that endorsed Kamala.
I'm that guy. I 100% thought every time I saw one of them get up there that they're on the P. Diddy tapes. I know
too.
It's not right for me to think that way. But
No, you're not
do.
alone. I did too. Did anybody else think that?
That's how I think.
You're supposed to read those.
I'm very cynical.
You're all over the place tonight, you poor baby. I can tell you've got a cold.
I do. It's fine. It's totally fine.
I know.
I'm living with it. Somebody said let's see where Polymarket is at the moment. Let's see what they're predicting here. So for those who don't know, Polymarket is where money gets spent to bet on the outcome of the election.
That's a new thing, right?
Well, they had it for a while, but this time it's really got quite a number of. There's quite a lot of money on the line.
Is there?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
there's a lot of money on the line right now.
Let's see.
All right, let's look at this. Right now, it's bumped up. Plus green 8.2% for Trump. let's call that 70% to 30. So Kamala's down 7.8, Trump's up 8.2. I don't know how those numbers totally resolve, but there you have it. And
look at the Senate.
So to your question before, it looks like Nevada is just a beigey, we don't know color. Wisconsin, surprisingly, a beigey, we don't know color. Pennsylvania leaning pink. If it goes this way, if Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania all swing, this be the closest thing we've had to a landslide in quite a while. Yeah. So
can you press on the Senate? I'm just curious.
Oh, you want to see Senate?
Yeah.
No, it's just a picture. Sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, that's poly market. So this is money. So we'll see. Hawaii going blue, Alaska going red.
We should put some money on there. Come on.
Sure. Let's do it.
Nah, I don't need to gamble. But it could have kind of would be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So are you reading comments? Is that what you were doing?
Oh yeah, I'm checking them out here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's a lot of them, so it's hard for me
just
to
read
get
them
all
out
of
loud.
them.
Read a few. I started knitting, which
I got to back up because yeah. So let's start with this one.
You are knitting, yes.
Yes. There.
I'm messing around. I'm starting my first row, which is always an awkward one.
It probably looked like confusingly finger crocheting for a while because you were casting on or whatever you call that thing. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah. I do this sometimes if I'm going to be in here for a long time because it just gives me something to do with my hands.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a source of confusion and questioning.
What are you doing to that cord? I like knitting in the round. Well, I'm starting a hat anyway. So that's why I've got this.
Yep.
I haven't knit in a while, so I'm happy to be knitting again.
Here's a good question. Why is the U.S. testing a nuclear missile on election night? They're actually testing a hypersonic missile tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. They're I don't know, into space. It's a hypersonic missile. Like, you know what would be a good night? Election night.
These people.
And let's put it over Russia. These people, I tell you.
Wow.
I don't know.
We're going to be lucky if we don't extinct ourselves in some stupid way like that. I wonder, all those older, older things that you can see that indicate that there were other civilizations and stuff like that. Like, whatever happened to them? They seem to be really advanced and all that. I bet it got to that same point, like it seems to be getting at.
So there are a number of odd things we have to also parse. I know elections really consumed a lot of the oxygen here, but it's been a little weird that since 2017, but really picking up steam lately, there's all this UFO stuff, or UAPs, as they call them now. So I just feel like we're being prepped for something. I don't know what. Like either the biggest mind F ever, or maybe it is actually a real thing, and they're just trying to let us know softly, a little trickle true thing.
Has there been more?
Yeah,
recently?
There's stuff coming out all the time.
Oh, shoot.
We got that going on, and let's not forget our magnetic poles are going on magnetic excursion. They're going on walkabout, so that if you pulled out a map from when you were a kid and did that whole magnetic declination with a compass thing, I know I'm speaking complete gibberish to most of you at this point, but you put your map down and it has a true
red
north
Fred
and a
in the shed.
north,
Yeah.
right? And there's a little gap there. Well, that's a huge gap now.
Whoa.
My old maps they just don't work anymore. So that's kind of interesting. So this is interesting. Oops. Yeah, let's go here. Mongo the Pawn says, of the 25 million votes counted so far, which is pretty early in the game, if you can imagine there might be, I don't know, 170 million votes counted or whatever the number is going to be, 150, somewhere in that zone. Trump has 54% of the votes counted so far. So that's interesting. And Libertas saying, Libertius, well, he won in 2020, wasn't seated president, so yeah, it's kind of possible. So we'll see. Poly market odds are increasing rapidly. So we just looked at those. I think these ones that we looked at here were This is
This
just a
is
few minutes
static?
ago.
Oh, okay.
It's static. But when they posted, this was posted on Polymarket 23 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
So I probably shouldn't be doing this on X. I probably ought to go to Polymarket itself
Oh,
and see what they have to say. So I'll find that in just a second, because I'm sure if I went to the whole extra website here. Ooh, now we're at 68 to 32. That's down. Anyway, interesting. Pennsylvania is now in beige. Nevada has tilted red, according to Polymarket. Wisconsin tilting red. Wow, this is starting to look more and more.
I don't want to get my hope up, but I do hope, because I think otherwise, I don't know, I'm worried about our nation. It feels existential. I know that's on both sides, but
yeah. Well, how about this? So Patricia Halliday is saying, we hope Trump wins to stop the Mexican cartel having influence in our country
oh,
and in our
interesting.
military because of the border criminal trafficking. So
Where's Patricia from?
don't know.
Oh, from either way, yeah, for the US, but also I heard it was Eva Vlarding. I never know how to say it. Vlardingbrook. She was saying that, like, this actually does have impact. The US and how we vote this election has a huge impact on other countries across the world. In particular, Europe, I think, is going to be bigly influenced.
Bigly influenced. I like that.
Well, I'd love to. If anybody has any questions for Chris, please throw them in there.
Sure.
I wish I could control that, because I'd love to be able to look at them.
Well, also, Patricia, just to mention this, I went all the way down into Panama in January of 2024 with Brett Weinstein and Michael Yon and Ann Vandersteel and some other folks, and got in a canoe and went all the way up into the jungle on a river, which was a fun adventure all on its own, into places where there are tons of cartel operating, just so Michael Yon could show me and the other assembled people there what he called China Camp. And I was a little shocked because, we go all the way up 4 hours into this jungle. There's literally monkeys and toucans and stuff, and caiman type of crocky thing in the river. And we get there and we're in the middle of the jungle. And then the next thing you know, there's like all these huts and a fence and generators and Wi-Fi, and you could buy chicken on the grill. And there's all these people just coming out, just streaming out of the jungle, including a lot of Chinese people. And they had better clothes than I had. They had $800 hiking shoes and Gore-Tex this, and some of them actually had, I didn't know they'd made these, but apparently Gucci makes backpacks. I mean, I'm not kidding you. They had really nice stuff. 9 out of 10 were males. All of the males were military aged, right? And some of them clearly of military demeanor, and they are now in the country.
Okay. So like sleeper cells, is that what that would be?
Maybe, maybe not all of them. Some of them, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to be free, few of them, but some of them, they are almost certainly. That was a ladybug.
Was it a ladybug?
Yeah, it happens this time of year. But the point is that we saw lots and lots of military age people. It's obviously not what you do if you care about national security. We met people there from Afghanistan, right? Remember the country we just bombed and then totally abandoned, right? Probably a few pissed off with the people in that country.
You think?
Come on in, and worse, we're paying to fly them, to house them, to move them, and they do all of this for reasons that they won't tell us what the real reason is. It's not for humanity. We've already established they don't care about humanity, right? It's for some other purpose. But you have to leave open the idea that they're doing it at a minimum to rig elections in their favor, potentially. But more likely, they know that this is highly disruptive and destructive to this country. And that's Mayorkas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mayorkas, if you remember, he was on the board of the Hebrew Immigration Society, HIAS, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so
I forgot about that.
He really cares about, for whatever reason, and we'd have to ask him, to have a whole bunch of undocumented migrants, mostly of military age, mostly males, coming into the country, unvetted and just scattering across the land.
But into our country, not his country, not Israel.
Not Israel. right? So at any rate, that was no bueno. But anyway, so I know quite a bit about that. I think just having visited it, and it's this is the thing. I was a little naive. I thought, because there are all these pictures when you do see them, it's like, oh yeah, these poor people coming in. What I saw was a well-worn rut that was billions of dollars upon billions of dollars being funneled to make sure that these people could get from A to B. And I'm like, well, if you really want them in the country that bad, why make them go through all this rigmarole, walking through a jungle, across the Darien
Getting
Gap,
raped.
women getting and children getting raped, and some of them dying from hypothermia. And then they get into this gap, and then there's a bus waiting for them, and they bus them to the next border, and then there's a bus there, and they're busing to the next border. And they get these maps that have all the different waypoints where these are the hotels that are friendly to Chinese. These are the ones that speak Spanish. These are the ones that speak whatever your language is. They had it all mapped out. 69 NGOs, all there doing what they're doing.
That's so crazy.
Like, if you're going to do all of that, why make them fly into Honduras and walk and take buses and then scurry under some razor wire? Why not just fly them into JFK?
They have to have some skin in the game.
Just
it's
fly 'em in.
important. So they can appreciate it when they do arrive.
Why not? Just be honest about it. Just the whole thing.
I know.
Mysterious. Kind of mysterious.
We've got some major issues in this country beyond whoever is going to be the leader of it. I think we've been completely captured by corporate operations, by huge companies. And I don't think, even if people wanted to fairly represent the people, I think there's just so many lobbyists and folks in DC that are part of the permanent Washington that wouldn't allow that, it's so gross. There's just so much corruption. I think we're going to have to clean some house.
All right. We're just tuning back into, Devil Central.
Devil Central.
Okay. I know it's early, and I know that when we go left here, Kamala's going to pick up a lot, but Trump is at 105. She's at 27 on the electorals here. And then we have 42 to 32 in the Senate. So with a couple of notches potentially. So we'll see if there's a swing there, and maybe the House. So it's possible we're watching something here, which is that, and this will be completely surprising, that high inflation, random migrants in your country, gaslighting people, and men and women's sports is not as popular as we've been led to believe. It's possible.
That would be amazing. I don't want to hope, though. Don't let me hope. Do not do it. No,
It's
I'm sorry. I
possible.
don't mean to be depressing, everybody. I just...
No, if we do see a win here by the Republicans, it'll only be because they finally upped their game to limit the cheating. I'm 100% clear about that.
Well, I know, what is his name? James O'Keefe was... he has independent investigators at all sorts of polling places throughout the country that are actually monitoring and taping if they see anything. Like, that's what he's told people. Like, if you see something sketchy, like, film it.
I love what James O'Keefe is doing, because he said, hey, we have hundreds of cameras out there. You don't know where they are, but we're on you. Right? So this is actually something I think Trump should have done. Which maybe he did and I missed it. But I would have loved for him to say, because this is something I think...
Just give me that.
I can't.
Sorry. I don't know.
There you go. He should have said something like this, which is, listen, okay, here's where I would have done it. So NBC ran Saturday Night Live, and they gave Kamala like a spot, and it felt like an illicit campaign donation. So they had to make good and even it out, and they gave Trump 90 seconds. In a later time slot. So here's what I would have said. I would have said, hey, we're about to have an election, and if I win, I just want you to be aware that anybody of either party who's caught trying to rig the election, you're going to be facing the full extent of my Department of Justice and the full extent of the law. And we're going to make a real public example out of the people we catch. And we're going to go as high up the food chain as we possibly can. Flip people till we get to the very top of this. And there's going to be serious jail time, and there are going to be civil fines that are going to make your eyes water. And we're doing this because democracy is that important. And anybody who thinks people have been getting away with rigging it for just far too long, well, those days are over. And by the way, there is a level of rigging beyond which we may have to invent new penalties for. right? So if it turns out that some of these machines are fully rigged, right? So here's what we found out, right? Jenna Griswold in Colorado leaks 700 BIOS level passwords for all of their voting machines in
I can't
Colorado.
believe that happened.
All of them. BIOS level, for those who don't know, means that you're basically in, if you ever your old PC guy or gal, BIOS level is before the shell of the Windows comes up. It's early. It's like the early kernel. You get in there, you can do stuff in there like attach machines to the internet, change votes, change log files, insert new files. You can do all of that without being detected.
Oof.
There's
'Cause
no.
it's before the sign-in.
It's before the log.
Oh my gosh.
You can get in there and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, and the first thing you should be thinking, if you're not a insane moron, is, well, then we shouldn't have a system that has that kind of access that could be leaked, right? We instead, you know what we need?
No, you're being conspiratorial right now, Chris. Come on.
Wait a minute. I have an idea. A wooden box with wooden gears and a bell. Ding! That was our voting experience today. Our paper ballots went into a box. Boy, ding!
It was so cute and old school.
I love that thing.
I do too. It's like our freaking town mascot. Awesome.
It's awesome. All right, so nothing new there to report yet. Let's see what Polymarket's saying at this particular moment. Ooh,
that's interesting.
Notching
Laura
higher.
Ira said. Go ahead.
Notching higher. Now this is going very rapidly higher on the odds. Polymarket now predicting a 70.9% chance of a Trump win. That doesn't mean he has 70.9% of the votes. It doesn't mean he has 70.9% of the Electoral College. None of that.
It means 70.9% of the people are willing to put their money on that.
Well, if you wanted to put money into this market right now, those are the odds, right? So you'd have to put, you if Kamala swings the win, you could make a decent penny on that, right? So
wow,
anyway.
I wouldn't want to bet on that just based on all the shenanigans and all the
yeah,
election fraud.
Yeah,
that's an interesting one.
Which one?
Oh, I was just reading Laura's.
Oh, let's put it up. See what we got here. Fun fact: the Amish, who never participate in these things, are voting or did vote, and the Muslims made a show of solidarity for Trump too. Yeah. And that's related, at least in part, to this Amos Miller, the case of how much was he Mennonite? Should know this.
I think he's Amish.
Yeah. So he's a farmer, and of course, the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, helped by the Food and Drug Administration, has just been coming down on him hard because it's so terrible that he sells products directly to people, and they can't point to a single case of anybody directly who's gotten sick. And every week I read about, how many thousands of people died from metabolic disorders this week because our food system is sick. By the way, we're going to have a food webinar.
Oh, yeah. Tell them about
Peak
that.
Prosperity, because, excuse me, here's what we know about now, right?
A health webinar as you're coughing.
No, not a health webinar. Obviously, I'm not the right guy to talk about that. It's just a cold, okay?
Okay.
You get these things. In fact, I'm reveling in it. It's like, oh, yeah, these things we used to get. But we're having a food webinar that's related around the idea that look, our food system is designed to make us sick. There are things in our food that really shouldn't be there. But even leaving aside red dye number 10 and polysorbate this and brominated that and all that, let's back it up. The idea that we're eating seed oils, no bueno. The fact that they've hit our bliss point with sugar, fat, salt, and done that in a way that was engineered specifically to hijack our neural circuitry and our evolution to get us addicted to stuff. But it's in the data, right? When you look at the explosion of obesity across America, when you look at the metabolic disorders, the number of people who are dying from things, they're like, oh yeah, everybody needs a statin now to help limit heart attacks. No, we need to not be eating food that makes us sick and fat.
Or being forced to take, what's that cause it.
The magic thingies.
Those
aren't
prevented.
helpful either. Anyway, time for a complete rewrite of this. I am a total Maha on this. Make America Healthy Again. I'm really hoping we can get somewhere so we can finally talk truth now. Listen, let me be clear. 1 in 22 boys having autism is a full stop, blow the ref whistle, timeout. This is bad. Figure it out. Everybody sort of shrugs like, well, we don't know what's causing it, but we're positive it's not that thing. Like, right. But we should still, okay, if it's not that thing, then why is there no curiosity about finding out what that thing might be, right? So it's time. It's time to get past all that. It's time to make our food healthy again. So we're doing a food webinar. Thomas Massey's going to be one of our interviewees on this.
That's exciting.
And
Dr.
we'll have
Ken Berry too,
Dr.
right?
Ken Berry. We're going to have Tracy Thurman on there. We'll have Robert Barnes, and we're going to be talking with people who both define the problem, but also then the solution space, because it shouldn't be that hard, but it is hard, right?
Well,
so
yeah,
it's
and there's lots
not
of
hard
education.
if otherwise, you're eating the American food pyramid, and on the bottom of your food pyramid is Trix and Frosted Flakes and stuff like that. We can help get really better, but don't take my word for it.
Me
started eating differently.
Oh, you want me to tell my story?
Yeah, what's your experience of that while we're waiting for some results to come in?
Sure. Well, I found that Chris had tried keto. I hadn't tried anything like that. Although I had watched Jordan Peterson's daughter, and I have joint issues and a fair amount of degenerative stuff going on in my spine. Because I have scoliosis, I've had multiple surgeries, and I've been miserable for a long time with that pain. That's why I'm always shifting around in my chair, even. And but I didn't want to try it because it meant giving up my beloved sugar. And I just found ice cream for the first time in my life because I never ate it when I was a kid. And I had just become acquainted with Haagen-Dazs, and it was amazing. We were having a great relationship. And then Chris was like, hey, you should try this, because I kept being in pain. And so I'm like, all right, fine. And mostly I was just trying it just so I could check it off the list, but I really didn't expect that anything was going to happen. And so it's been about 6 months now, I think. Has it been that long? Maybe, yeah, about 4 or 5 months maybe. And I feel so different. It's unbelievable. I'm still eating keto. That's how good it went. That's how well it went. And I really didn't want it to go well because I wanted to continue eating my sugar, and I wanted to be able to tell him to stuff it and like, no, it's not my diet. Like, I've been dealing with this chronic issue for a long time. There's actually something wrong, which is true. There is, anatomically speaking, but I'm certainly not helping it wasn't helping it by eating sugar and or carbs. So to expand on your point about the food, it's not just eating sugar or whatever or dyes. It's also, I think, other preservatives that seem sort of like they're not going to do any damage, and they really do. And over time, I mean, so much on our shelves lasts as long as it does on the shelf and in your pantry because it's got all of this stuff in it. And I think those same things in many cases are not congruent to us being healthy at the same time. So people that we've spoken to have said, yeah, I was unable to eat gluten, and then I went over to or dairy, and I went over to Europe and I lost weight there. And here at home in the States, they're feeling bloated and nasty and gross, and weight gain is an issue, as well as just feeling bad. And so I think we've stumbled onto something that maybe other people have already heard of, but for us, it was just over the past few years, it's just been a life-changing thing to recognize that so much of our American diet, so much of the food pyramid and how we were taught to eat was totally wrong and backwards. And that now that we're eating much more protein, barely any carbs or processed food at all, we're just happier. Our mood is better. We physically feel good. Our energy is great. It's just a game changer.
Yeah. Hey,
there.
Breaking news. Here's what we know so far.
That's so cute.
Thanks for that, West Coast Jan. This looks about right.
Yeah.
So this is our election coverage live stream channel thread that we have going on at Peak Prosperity. If you're not a Peak Prosperity subscriber or person who comes over, you should. It's an awesome place. So here's an exit poll for you. Republican turnout dwarfed Dem turnout everywhere. Ignore all else. I think that's why we're seeing the poly market odds go up. More signs that this time is different. Again, from Kyle Becker. We said something else from him earlier. Huge news. Guam has flipped for Trump. Wow. Guam. with its famous Inarajan natural pool and the Fort Nuestra Senora de la Soledad. I don't know anything about that. I know nothing. And Georgia seems safe for Trump, too big to rig. So this is interesting. So earlier, Georgia's led by this really horribly bad person, the Secretary of State, who's a Republican. Rathensperger. And anyway, so for a long time, remember, so in Georgia, they actually had this affidavit filed in court that said, wow, 7 critical vulnerabilities in your voting machines. Like critical, by critical vulnerabilities, they mean completely retarded things that should have never been installed, right?
Really?
Like absolutely critical, like you can't fix them. Like these things are just like
just burn it down and start over kind of thing.
Like, no, like if you wanted to build a machine more insecure, you'd have trouble, right?
Wow.
So they have that. And of course, there are patches and things you could do. And this was back in June of 24. And this Secretary of State for Georgia said, oh, there isn't time to fix these. We're just going to have to go with these as is. And here's the thing. To fix these things involves downloading a patch and hitting enter, right? Like we do it all the time. Like my phone apparently needs to update its software every night, right?
I know.
They're like, oh no, we couldn't do it. It's just too hard.
You weren't connected to power.
So anyway, I think Jim here is noting Georgia's safe for Trump now, too big to rig. So that's possible. So if Georgia flips over, we'll see. Florida, as we said, is pretty strongly flipped.
It's
Looks
red.
like that's red. Aaron McKeon, who's on the peak team, said more from my town. Had 6.5% new voter registrations on the day of. Record-breaking turnout. So he lives in a little town in New Hampshire.
Exciting.
Yeah. JB Raskin, the fixer, said, let folks cast their votes for Trump if that's their choice. But mark my words, we won't be certifying the election. He might win, but we'll ensure he doesn't step foot in the Oval Office. So,
wow. What an asshole. Sorry.
Is that not
excuse my language,
something you should not be saying? Isn't that, like, first off, this is exactly what the left was accusing the right of the entire time. Like, oh, you won't, no peaceful transfer of power and you're going to, you know? Need I remind people it was Kamala's and Biden's, because we know it's not Biden. It's not, you can't blame Biden for anything, right?
No.
Except maybe if it smells bad in the room. I imagine you could probably blame him for that. But beyond that, you can't. But they just came out with that order, that rule that allows the government, the military, to shoot American citizens if they're assisting local law enforcement, whatever that means, right? I got to laugh about that because I don't know what to tell you about that.
Or else you'd cry. No, seriously, they did just sign. Who passed that? It was a bill, wasn't it? In the Senate? Where was that passed?
No, it was just a rule change. So if it was a bill, it would be a law, and that would be something, and then people would have debated it and done all of that. But it was just one of these rules. So we just had this case that was struck down earlier this year, the Chevron deference, right? Which Chevron brought a case that said, hey, it's just inappropriate for agencies to be interpreting laws and adding more stuff. And then they have the force of law. We can fine you. We can jail you. Those are laws, right? To take money or deprive somebody of money, capital, or liberty. These sorts of things require laws. You don't just make a rule up, right? So they struck that down, and it turned out that agencies can't just sort of make up rules that would operate like laws. So then I'm like, that seems like a pretty big sort of a law to enact to enable the U.S. military to shoot its own citizens if necessary or deemed appropriate.
I don't even know why they're talking about that.
That was a rule. As far as I understand, that was an administrative rule change that came out of the Biden-Harris admin.
I thought it was something more than that, but maybe not. I hope not. That's terrifying.
Well, still to this point, I think that is, I don't know what the right word for it is, but it seems treasony. He might win, but we'll ensure he doesn't step foot in the Oval Office, right? Remember we had all those horrifying people earlier on saying stuff like, before the first Trump shooting on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, they said things like, he needs to be eliminated. Somebody should put a bullet in him, right?
They just invited it to happen.
They did. So remember, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So this is Jamie Raskin telling us very clearly who he is. We'll ensure he doesn't step foot in the Oval Office.
Is he a part of the deep state? Who is he? Is he just a garden variety
Well, I
a-hole?
mean, for sure he's on some videotapes he wishes he wasn't on. I guess. I mean, I don't want to blame everything on the P. Diddy Epstein tapes, but it's kind of a good explanatory function.
Well, there is a deep state, and there's also like
that's awesome.
a lot of the, and I don't want to say too much because I know we're out on the public airwaves right now, but you know, there are politicians and people in all sorts of government positions that have dual citizenship. And therefore dual loyalty.
Yep.
And
I think there ought to be a couple of basic rule changes that we could go with on this whole thing. One is no dual loyalties, right, for starters. Second, if you're in a position where you're going to be making long-term decisions, particularly about war, you have to have kids, preferably grandkids. No
like
childless wonders out there like Lindsey Graham making crap up, or Kamala, you know.
It's
true.
She's
a mom. Yeah, she was 48 when she got married, and she had 2 teenage stepkids.
Yeah, she wasn't a mom.
No.
That's not the same. I'm sorry.
Aaron confirming they had about 90% voter turnout. People care. That's a good thing. I mean, I know it's a small town. He lives in a small town in New Hampshire, but
that's
this means
sign.
people care. And Jim H saying it's all fitting together from Guam to small town in New Hampshire. People fed up. The BS, the lies, the purposeful destruction of all that we hold dear, and they're coming out to say no good.
Oh, okay, that's about your mic. But to be fair, like this is for anybody that isn't familiar with what we're looking at here, this is our website, and this is the tribe, and this is the forum where we discuss various things. And so it is probably, I mean, it's not a cross section of like the general public. It's certainly people that think similar to the way we do, and probably if you're listening to this, similar to the way you do.
Yep.
And
we
this is where we say what we want to say, and we don't have to censor ourselves behind the paywall.
It's true, and I love this. This is Michelle Milholland. The difference this time around is people have no patience for listening to others, right? But this is the first time Michelle has posted, so welcome to the community, Michelle. Great to have you here. We're very welcoming in our community. These are not bots. We make sure we don't have bots. This is not Reddit. We actually have humans at our website, and that's an awesome thing.
And you know what I really like about our website that I think is different than some is that a lot of the people there, they're really good-hearted people, and they bring data, they bring receipts for some of the points they make or the arguments they have, and it just makes it different when you can't just spout out crap without any backup. What? You're distracting. You're distracted. What? You need that? Sorry. Anyway, it's just, I think it's a different environment when you can't just sort of spout out whatever and insult people and not sort of bring data to the argument. And we have a very civil discussion. Sometimes it's passionate, but we have lots of interesting conversations on there, don't we?
Nick said I should reseat my mic.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to try that. Also, that our food webinar is going to be January 10th. So anybody who's interested in that's going to be really good.
Can you go down there to the bottom so I can see where we are with the comments?
Sure. Let's see.
You're behind.
Thank you, Spain. We appreciate it.
Yeah, pray for us here in the US. We need it.
You're most welcome. What is the crude? I haven't checked it in a while, but it was 71.65 earlier today when I stopped looking at it. So we'll find out where crude's going to go. And a question here, what the answer to the 2008 financial crisis is, what's destroyed the world? Reducing interest rates to zero, printing like crazy, facilitated so much criminality and malinvestment. Indeed, it did. Crimes, just real crimes.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Rod.
hey, Chris, good to see you again. Way too early to get hopes up. A lot of time to cheat. There's 2:30 in the morning to worry about. Remember
I know.
we have the old 2:30 liftoff, right?
We
You
do.
got to worry about that.
That's true.
Yeah,
Sad.
it is.
Keep going.
Wait, I got a couple more here. So, New Mexico. Yeah, lot of shenanigans can come in with an unauditable
Mm-hmm.
situation like that. I agree, Charlotte OZ. Majority of Reddit users are bots, and you can't take anything they say seriously after the post of dozens of them doing brain scans and essentially missing parts of their brains. Yeah, I agree, Renee, but free will is the way that you need free will to be able to express yourself in some way, shape, or form. It's interesting. So it gets metaphysical fairly quickly, but so what is, well, before we get to free will, I think you have to back up and go, well, what's consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Because I'm a little worried that AI is going to achieve consciousness.
Awareness of its awareness. I think it's awareness.
I agree. I think awareness of self is it's a real thing.
I'm curious about because we asked some questions about asked if anybody had questions. I'm wondering if there are any down there at the bottom.
Okay. Let's see. Keeping our expectations down. Good. That's interesting. I did not know this. Do you want to read that out?
By the way, it was Eric Weinstein who is responsible for writing up the plan. Oh, I can't see. That has all these migrants crossing borders and causing mayhem worldwide. No kidding. Interesting. I'll have to look that up.
We're going to have to look that up, David, because I didn't know that either.
Wow. Does he vote Democrat?
I don't know. I do not know.
I expect that shite will be rough no matter who is chosen. 100%, Laura, I think. Oh, I'm so sorry. U.S. nuclear missile testing on West Coast. Why? Such a good question.
Oh, I think we all know why. Whatever. Just keep everything spicy. Yep, I agree with that, Laura. No question about that. Things are going to be spicy here.
Yep. I went to Costco and got a few last minute things. What we got?
It's not COVID again.
Oh, no. I made him test just in case.
I didn't want to test. I don't really care.
No. Well, I didn't stick anything up your nose. I just made you spit on it. Not to be gross, but I know. I just want to clarify. I'm not introducing things up into your nasal cavity that shouldn't be there.
And by the way, anybody who does want to know about that case against the Amish farmer, Viva Frey did some good stuff. Robert Barnes did good stuff. It's a shocking case.
It is.
It's shocking. It's as shocking as Peanut the Squirrel.
It is, actually.
It's the same story. It's just a regulatory administrative state that's run amok and has lost all sense of the plot line and is acting evilly and in a way that if they defunded those people and 100% of them went out of work, nobody would cry a tear in this house.
No. That's Pennsylvania ag is just ugh. That's just really corrupt and bad.
Yeah.
What is your town mascot?
Lead paint chips are also delicious. By the way, we had a question there. When is that food webinar? That is, looks like it's going to be January 10th for anybody who wants to know. So great time if you have those New Year's resolutions ready to get healthy.
And I think we're going to do a thing together, right? Like, because we've been keto, but I think we're going to just go full carnivore for that starting then. Is that right? Yeah. We're just going to do like meat only just for 90 days and see what happens.
Why is my mic cutting? This bothers me.
I don't know, honey.
Okay. Sorry.
I got like wire somewhere or something?
I'm going to have to change everything. Okay. Sorry. I think I got my mic back.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Phew.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. See,
There.
you wouldn't have known that unless you went to the bottom.
I wouldn't have. That's why I kept. I thought when this phone went live, I thought I was getting some more.
Oh, I see.
All right. So let me check back in here real quick, and then we're going to check back over at Polymarket, see if that's changed at any point here. Ooh, that's kind of an update.
I'm curious if people have
Hold up.
stories.
Hold up. We're now at 154 to 27 on the electoral electors here. So again, this is not unexpected. Sort of the middle of the country going red. A lot of states here yet to report in. But if we went here and refresh as things come in, ooh, Trump sneaking up in Polymarket to 72%. Kamala sneaking down. And so according to the money, let's see what we got here. Wow. Arizona, they have pegged it red now. Not even sort of, there's no
Pink.
question on that. No pink. It's not pink.
But this is like what people are betting on, not what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you kind of got to trust the money. You kind of got to trust the money on this, to a point. I mean, you can always queer the money too. Somebody could come in and dump huge amounts of bets the other way just to try and make it look different. I don't know that anybody is watching this and then going out and voting any differently. I don't know if this would be a place where you would change perceptions at this late stage of the game.
Probably not.
So this is probably a fairly accurate representation of what people are sensing and all of that. And there's going to be real pros who are dialed in to all the early precinct returns and all of that stuff. There's feeds you can get, which will dial you in.
So I have a question. Remember I don't know if folks listening right now have seen this, but the 2000 Mules, that movie, what changes have they made since that was created?
Zero.
So basically we could just have a rerun of that.
Well, the changes are that you have James O'Keefe and his hidden cameras out there actually filming ballot boxes this time
and documenting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in 2020 they knew they could get away with it. Here's what's changed. You ready?
Yeah.
So what's changed is that now they think maybe they can't get away with it. So that's how I interpret the Georgia thing. So you had Rathensperger and he's like, oh, it could take weeks, right? And then all of a sudden it looks like maybe the winds shift and it looks like Trump might win. And immediately he's one of those skunky people who just shifts this way because, oh, the political winds are growing this way. Oh, let me tighten my state up because now I can do it. Remember before I was like, oh, how could we download a patch to improve security? Can't do that. It's going to take weeks. Oh, wait, looks like Trump's going to win. Yeah, we'll get our votes counted tonight. Right. That's how I interpret it. I'm that cynical.
Okay.
Right. So
because that was a disaster.
Oh, look at this. We're being voted best live stream.
Really?
Well, thank you.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you. But we do have to remember Pennsylvania does have less than 20% of votes counted at this stage, though. So we just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, how could, I know it was a documentary, but how could no investigations, no nothing come out of that? I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to me.
I don't know. All right. Enough people are complaining still about my microphone. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to turn it off for a second.
Okay.
You're on your own for a minute. I'm going to go get a new mic and I'm just going to hot swap this.
All right. Well, give me the thing so I can see the
All right. You're driving.
All right. I'll be driving. Hold on a second. I got to get myself some water.
All right. I'm going to hot swap here. So let me turn my mic. Oh, I need this one more second because I got to turn my mic off.
I'm curious where everybody's watching from. Like where y'all are tuning in from tonight. We saw Spain. Oh, somebody said both audio's fine. Virginia. I'm just curious who's joining us from where. Honey, you're still connected. Your earpiece. He's walking off. Huntington Beach, California, Michigan, Virginia. Oh, this is cool. Texas. Rotten Apple, Germany, Waterford, Michigan. Wow. Central Iowa, Ontario, Canada. Evie, give yourself a raise. Woohoo! Los Lunas, New Mexico. California. I have not heard that before. That's funny. Colorado. Hello from Guam. Oklahoma. Western Australia. We just met some folks from Australia this last weekend when we went to the Brownstone Institute gathering, and it was so fabulous. They're super nice people. I hope to go there someday. Oh. Montana, Santa Fe, another Australia. How many peeps we got on here right now? How big are we? 910. That's kind of awesome. Is that like in real time?
I don't know.
Looks like there are 900 of us right here together. That's pretty cool. Canberra, Australia, North Carolina, the Netherlands, Poland, Everett, Washington, Switzerland. My mom's womb on satellite. Gotham City. I mean, Chicago. That's funny. Singapore. Wow. Oh, well, shout out to everybody. It's so great to have you here. Hello from Alberta, Canada, Toronto, Las Vegas. Wow. So good. So good to have you here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are just checking in, Chris and I are covering what we can find out about the election coverage, or we're being election coverage tonight, I guess. And also just using the time to visit with everyone and talk about some of the issues that are going on in the world and that are coming to our minds. And we'd love to hear from you. So please drop us a question in the comments if you have a question for either one of us or both of us, or if you just want to tell us something about, what your experience was voting today, if you're in the US. If you saw anything sketchy, if you saw anything that gives you hope, just feel free to give us a shout. Are you back? You ready?
We'll find out.
All right.
Let's see. Okay. Brand new microphone.
How's that, everybody?
We'll
here?
see.
Let me see if I can see there.
There. So let me know if that sounds okay or not.
How's he sounding now? Perth, Australia. How many votes were stolen last presidential election? Good question.
All right. So we have some other.
I think I don't know if I'm seeing anybody comment on it.
They say it's acting up a bit, but we'll see.
Slightly muffled, but not terrible.
Okay. All right.
If you point it more this way. Okay, talk now.
Check.
Still weirdly distorted. Huh.
Okay.
Do we need chat moderators? Maybe we do. Is somebody moderating our chat tonight? I haven't seen too much craziness so far, but
yeah, I don't know how to fix this right now, unfortunately. I will just turn it up a tiny bit, and
maybe it's your cold. It makes you sound muffled.
Well, maybe
you do sound muffled to me anyway.
Okay,
poor baby.
Well, but this should be plenty hot. This should work. Okay, so where is this one, so we can take that one off of the.
Oh, where was that? Oh, there it is. Hide current comment right there.
Boom. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, let's turn to this real quick because apparently they've now.
Look at what not Elon said. I still haven't gotten over Americans accepting an election without voter ID. That is kind of ridiculous.
I haven't gotten over it either, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So here we have Bloomberg reporting that Donald Trump projected to win Ohio, 17 electoral votes. I don't know if that's a huge surprise, but that's also now in the tank there. And as well, this is interesting. Just 37 minutes ago, reporting here from SRT 126, looks Trump oriented. That's Lindemann 126 saying, breaking notice, Michigan and Pennsylvania are only reporting so far from heavily blue counties. They're not reporting every county or vote totals. Seems odd. So we'll see what comes of that. And that, of course, would be sort of this typical election shenanigans we would expect on something like this, which is, if people see, oh, it looks like we're losing, I guess I'll stay home. That's a pretty typical thing.
Right.
To see.
It's true.
Something like that. Yep. All right. And so let's go back here real quick and see what we're seeing here. And we are now, according to CNN.
Ugh. Sorry.
They haven't slotted Ohio in yet, so I don't know what to make of that yet. Still at 154. So, and they have this huge giant banner up top that you can't get rid of. So it's just,
sorry,
it's just not good. And
sorry, go ahead.
Still sneaking up slightly. Pretty hefty election odds pointing towards Trump. Why? What are you laughing at me?
I'm not laughing at you. I feel so bad for you. I can tell you're just like,
no, it just sounds odd. I'm fine. I'm fine.
All right. So, do you remember when you used to be able to trust news outlets, and maybe it was always a bad idea, and I was just not aware of that. But I remember as a kid growing up, and everybody used to be able to trust and get their news from one agency or another, and there wasn't this gigantic divide. I mean, I guess Fox News always leaned a little bit more. It was a little more conservative, I think, always. But it bums me out that I no longer like CNN. I don't really like Fox News either. I mean, I just don't like that I can't trust those agencies because of who owns them. So that, anyway.
Yep. Well,
I just miss the days when
Jim H, to your point here, is writing that, not that one. One skipped below me. You didn't even know the politics of the news anchors.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, because they were trying to report just the news and not be, everything wasn't politicized.
Yep.
It was nice. I miss that.
Yep.
And remember when public radio was actually public radio?
Not national propaganda radio.
No, and now I listen to it just to drive him nuts, but I also like to know
it's painful.
What the enemies, like what the other people are thinking. Sorry, I shouldn't be like that. I can't help it. Feeling fired up. It's sad though. I mean, I remember that, like, all things considered, like I listened to that since I was an infant child because the people always had it on when I was around, and now it's just fully propagandized. It's painful.
Ooh, this is interesting. We have now on NBC, they're projecting 168. I think they must have tucked Ohio in there. Nope, they don't even have Ohio tucked in yet. That would be another 17. And again, it's just 27 million votes to 23 million, but we're seeing a 52 to 46. So this is going to be very upsetting to a lot of Reddit people because they will not have seen this coming. They just won't, because their echo chamber will not have been quite right. So you know what my echo chamber was? It was, and I did this. So it was way back. Bernie's running against Hillary in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And she's behind by like 8 points. And I remember particularly in Florida, Bernie is like filling 10, 15, even 20,000 seat arenas.
Oh, I remember that.
And you would see these things with Hillary, and they were always tight shots from a certain angle. But when you saw the wide angles from the back, there might be 300 people there. that means something. And somehow she pulled out this surprising win. And then the next week, Bernie had a black eye in a new lake house. I don't know what to make all that. Right?
Was that the next week?
Yeah.
Oh shoot! I didn't realize
He
that
joined the
was
Black Eye Club.
succession.
Anyway, make of that what you will.
Okay.
So, point being that there were shenanigans back then, but you could always tell who was supposed to win from the energy of the audiences. So here's what we know. Now we know that that Kamala, at least for 3 in a row of her rallies, that 91% of the cell phones pinged for all 3 of those rallies, meaning they were the same people. And they had the same buses. You know how it is, Evie. When we want to go to a rally, you and I are like, let's get in our bus, Chris. Right?
Let's get bussed over to whatever's happening.
We'll go to a place with buses. And by the way, they were all the same kind of bus. It was like one tour company. So I guess that week, like, casino profits fell because they weren't busing old people in. I don't know what the story was, right? But it was clearly obvious that this is fake, right? And then I saw in a comment earlier, there was this fake thing where she allegedly is taking a phone call from somebody and she turns her phone around, but you can see it's on camera mode. So she's talking to her camera. Does a pretty credible job of faking it.
Really?
Yeah, I guess.
Wait, I don't get it. She had they pulled somebody's voice in, like she was.
No, she's just a camera from a distance, and she's on the phone, and it's all this. Oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh, that's so wonderful. Ha, ha, ha. Right? She's just being camera.
Oh, I see.
But you can always tell these things because Trump rallies were drawing tens of thousands, and they always downplayed them, right? Oh, he drew several dozens, and you could see like 15,000 people there.
Right.
So obviously the energy was much stronger for Trump than for Kamala. Of course, it only makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously. So this isn't surprising to me to see. What is surprising is that they haven't managed to affect the steel better at this stage, So that's what we're seeing.
I'm not
According
getting
to
my hopes up
NBC.
yet. I'm gonna not allow myself to celebrate.
Yeah. Well,
just
what's
can't.
interesting, we don't have any flips yet, according to this. A flip would have these hatch marks in it. And so everything's kind of going according to plan
Okay.
at this stage.
So all the ones that we. Oh, I
If
see.
Georgia goes, this will be a flip. But they're saying it's too close to call, but it is 2 million to 1.77 million, 53% to 46.4%.
That's not close.
That's not close.
Oh, we might have an error in here. Let
You
us
know what
take
I like?
overnight to sort it out.
On the bottom
Ugh.
down there, it's write-ins. I know that you would have written my name in just for fun. I would have been one of those.
I did write your name in.
Did you write my name in today?
Yeah.
I knew it. Everybody should. You gotta find yourself a gal like this. So my biggest
Aw.
supporter, and
Thanks, baby.
wrote me in. What'd you write me in for?
I don't know. A couple of things. Why not?
Why not?
You'd be great. I mean, I don't know that that's the life I want us to have, so I'm kind of glad that you're not in
Yeah.
any office.
Uh-oh. Now it's just rocketing up. 73.6. We
Woo.
were just at 72. Up 15, down 15. So the money says, hey, look out.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Wouldn't that be great? I can't. I'm just gonna hold off. I'll be over here
All right. Well, this is
holding back my joy.
Christian Lawrence writing that Google's showing Trump with 177 now, Kamala with 99. So that would be an interesting development.
Do you remember how it went before? I feel like it went like this, though, didn't it? It went like, oh, wow, like, yeah, that's to be expected. And then we woke up and it was like, oh, what?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
I
Okay. Well, that is interesting. Sometimes I get Mulder and Scully vibes watching your live stream. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah, so, well, we do talk about every little bit of everything.
Yeah, we do.
Everything connects to everything else, right? Which is absolutely true.
It is true.
So let's carry on down here. Yeah, Ben, we know. Paper ballots. There, of course, there are no issues. It's very easy.
They're verifiable. We don't want verifiable. We want the most drama possible.
Yeah. Hey, what do you guys think of Redacted? They're good. They have a good show. I think they do a very good show. And I haven't watched enough to really know if they get how often they're right in their stuff, but I like what I see.
I don't know that. Do we watch it? Who hosts that?
Clayton Morris. Remember, it's really slick production. They got a really nice studio.
I think I've seen it a few times, but you know what's interesting? Who said that? It was Denise. You know what's interesting, Denise, is they, even with people that you'd think would be connected because of like-minded views and all of that, like we went to recently to Rescue the Republic, kind of, I don't even know what you call it. It was a rally basically in DC. And we got to meet a whole bunch of people there, some of which or whom were talking about COVID and other things at the same time Chris was, but it was shocking because a lot of them hadn't ever heard of him. And some of them had even quoted some of his work in the past, you know, in their presentations or whatever. It was just really wild to see like somebody like Del Bigtree. I think that was the one that was most surprising, right? He had never heard of you.
Yeah, I know. And I did such complimentary, parallel, in-depth COVID coverage
analysis. And I mean, I was hearing, because I was watching him just to find out where the like news was, like where's the edge of this wave in terms of COVID, like where's the best, newest source of data. And anyway, it surprises me. So I think they actually do kind of keep us from finding each other. And there are a lot of people's shows we're probably not suggested. I mean, I'm unsubscribed from our channel regularly. It's weird. It stopped happening as much as it did during COVID, but it was bizarre how that would happen.
All true. This is interesting. I like this.
What you got?
Patrick Ruiz says the fake news gave birth to you guys. Absolutely true. Can I be honest? I am so happy that the fake news can't figure out how to not be fake news. I actually don't mind competition. I'm not saying I just want total territory to ourselves, but I really enjoy that the people who are over here on our side of the fence trying to speak truth and make common sense common again. And, you know, if I had a red hat that I was going to wear to the polling station, mine would read, make things make sense again. Right. That's all. It's just, we have stuff that's just total nonsense at this particular point in time, sort of like 1984 style, peace is strength, you know, peace, whatever, or is peace kind of drunk. Anyway, so strength is ignorance, whatever they said. So they did make us, and I'm really happy for the fake news. You know, I got fact checked hard by the Washington Post twice this past couple of weeks, right? And they
did they fact check you a second time?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, man.
They did. Anyway, or not even fact check. They were very angry that I was spreading misinformation because there was a lot of early breaking stuff around the Hurricane Helene disaster unfolding in Western North Carolina, and the so-called reporter completely misinterpreted my explanation for what I was up to. I said, look, whether or not these facts are actually true, the point is that what you want to do is you want to let the government know that we're watching and we want them to behave better. Remember I said on that tweet, I said, hey, let's get this out there. Maybe this will make the government respond or behave better. That's why I did all of my Trump investigation, the shooting of July 13th was like, hey, I just want to get the facts on the ground so that they have to wrestle with the facts of that shooting. And by the way, that stinks to high heaven. You know, that if you have any questions about it, but I will tell you it settles down on this. There were two emergency services counter snipers from Beaver and Butler counties, respectively, who were in that building, the AGR building, from which Thomas Crooks took some shots, is the storyline. And nobody has asked any questions of those two guys who could have, should have, and would have been in a position to stop, but for some reason, they abandoned their posts. And nobody's asking any questions about that. None of the subcommittees, none of the investigations. It's just like, oh yeah, why would you ask questions about the two guys closest? It's kind of like, you know, they brought in Ben Schaefer, one of the Washington County SWAT guys. He was 400 yards away. It's kind of like, you're the investigator. You're coming into a store. There's a dead clerk. There's a guy standing there with a smoking gun, and there's a few witnesses standing right around this incident. You're like, get me that lady who just got in her car out in the parking lot. I want to talk to her. And then see if there are any stock guys in the back. We'll talk to them. And that was it.
And the rest of you go home.
The rest of you go home. It was literally that stupid. All right.
Yeah.
Very, very dumb. Hey, what about this though?
Do you want to tell them? I was gonna say something.
Go for it.
So Chris and I recently got married. A lot of you probably know that. Actually, it was exactly a month ago today.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. I win.
Happy anniversary.
And so we took some time away, which was wonderful. And one of the places we went to, actually, no, both places we bonded with birds. One, it was seagulls. And the other place, we actually connected with a couple of ravens, or several actually. And so when we were there in Yosemite and we were walking around in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, we came across an artist that had painted a picture of one of our raven friends that we were feeding roast chicken to. And so we decided, as a memory of the wonderful time that we had together there, we were going to purchase that and put it somewhere in our studio. So I don't know if that's going to be its permanent home, but that's why it's on the wall. So it's a raven.
It is a raven. By the way, Poly Market. Oh, it's just screaming higher here. So trending not in a good way if you are a Reddit reader. Yep. Pretty interesting watching this develop. And by the way, very clearly here, Poly Market has Ohio with a 99% certainty going in here. And when we're looking at NBC, they still haven't called Ohio yet. Even though it's 54-45, you can be bold. You can do it.
I feel like I think of Ohio as being mostly Republican. I don't know why I think that.
You know, their governor, Mike DeWine, remember the whole East Palestine train derailment? Remember that?
Oh, yeah, that got memory hold.
Yeah, that got memory hold quick. So Ohio has definitely got some. Ohio and Pennsylvania, I got to say, are highly suspect, corrupt kind of states. I've heard just way too much bad stuff out of Ohio. And we were talking about Amos Miller earlier. That's an Ohio, Pennsylvania case, right? So, and then you look at all the stuff that's going on with that East Palestine train derailment. There's this sort of shrug, and they're on their own. In North Carolina, same thing. Governor Roy there, I think he's done a horrible job. He was there late. When he finally did decide to tour the area, it was on Air Force One with Biden, who's drooling into a window, and he's looking out a window. Oh yeah, it looks like people are dying down there. I mean, it was just awful. Governor rallies the troops, brings the National Guards in, comes in and literally shovels things if they have to. And he just didn't. I thought he did a terrible job. Of course, that makes me a bad person in the Washington Post's mind. Here's the fun part. I love that the Washington Post hates me.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's mutual.
Tell them the whole story,
It's
just
mutual.
in case they haven't heard it.
That's all right. It's just junk. But I mean, it's just, I really despise the so-called journalism people. Like they got their Columbia University journalism degree. Maybe they went to Stanford too, right? Or maybe they went to Brown University, whatever. They consider themselves journalists, but they don't do the number one thing journalists should do. The one thing that would make you be able to sleep at night and realize that even though you're getting poorly paid, it is a highly compensated job because you speak truth to power. They don't do that.
No.
They're stenographers for the mainstream narrative, and it's just it's just.
It didn't used to be
rancid.
that way. Oh, did you tell the story that you heard about how, speaking of stenographers in the White House, how?
Oh, well, I think people know that story, where, you know, Biden sort of riffing in his senile dementia, I have no mental filters kind of way, was talking about this, you know, they had this Trump rally, which was in Madison Square Garden. There was like 6+ hours of material, but they found this one joke that didn't quite land from a comedian who's famous for roasting people. That's what he does. He just roasts everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So he says a comment about, Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage, which if you talk to people from Puerto Rico, they may actually confirm that with you, because actually currently they still have wreckage from the last hurricane and their landfills are full and there's nowhere for it to go. So if you went to San Juan, it's like streets are lined with garbage, which is kind of a perennial sort of a Puerto Rico problem anyway, but it's really on steroids now because of that situation. So anyway, makes this joke. Honestly, probably not a wise idea to have a joke like that during a political season. Anyway, I mean, what's the value? Anyway, so doesn't matter. So Biden comes out and says, yeah, and all of his supporters are garbage, right? So he calls all of Trump's supporters garbage. Now, that's what it said. It was very easy to determine that. But what it was, the stenographers, and there's the stenographers in the White House who like they span multiple administrations. Like their job is to faithfully and accurately capture every word, and that's their job. So they have a lot of pride in it and they do it well. So they captured this, and then White House staffers, before the transcript went out, changed it from supporters, plural, to supporter apostrophe S, to make it sound like Biden was really referring to this one supporter, which is this comedian. Anyway, they changed the entire meaning of the word, right? These people, if they didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all, right? I mean, it's just like anything they can lie or cheat about. That's what this election's really about. People are tired of this, right? They're going to change the meaning of words. Oh, what's a vaccine? What's herd immunity? What's a case? We don't know anymore. What's a woman? We don't know, right? Everything's just sort of up for grab in this amorphous, like, bleh, and we're sick of it.
Well, and it's not what we want, like, if in our leadership, right? We don't want people like as representing our country to the rest of the world as the worst manipulative, sorry, I'm getting tired. Manipulative, just zero integrity people that are just full of ego, and all they really care about is that. I mean, it's just not who you want your kids aspiring to, and other nations sort of seeing the face of, and it's embarrassing, I think. And I'm not saying Trump's a saint either, because I think everybody has issues. We're all human beings and none of us are perfect, and that's true and has always been true. And I think it's worthwhile to put people in positions of power that can model the kinds of behavior and the kinds of choices and everything else that
we don't,
as a
we just lack
nation, we might
integrity.
want to have
Just
modeled.
Lack integrity, top to bottom, through and through.
I know.
So if for example, RFK gets in as head of HHS, I would want him to just decapitate all of those departments. Like, don't leave a single director or assistant director in. Get rid of them all. Bring in new people, right? And then have massive consequences. So if I was going to
By the way, just to clarify, you're not saying kill. You're saying fire.
Yeah, of course. But if I was president or running for president, I would have a single plank, and it would be so easy. Everybody could remember it. My plank would be consequences. They're not just for little people anymore.
Watch out, you might get elected.
And by the way, I have a sense that that Bootsy knows what I'm talking about. All right. You do. Exactly.
I missed that.
Well, it's about the Black Eye Club. If you don't know what that is, don't.
You know, you know.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you do know, it's a thing. Even involves the Pope, so it's kind of weird. It goes on there. Oh, hey, Law of the Minimum has a super chat in here, which I didn't even know we had activated. So that's awesome. So for $1.99, sure, we'll tell you about. How about those tiny cows, Evie?
Oh, we love our tiny cows.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
What are they?
We have Irish Jerseys, and
Belmont is the actual breed, I think.
I get also called Belmont. They get to be like 500 to 700 pounds instead of like 1,600, which is what one of our Belties weighed.
Yep.
Right before we put her in our freezer for reasons.
Yep.
And they're really sweet animals. I mean, cows are funny. Cows are cows. Like now that we've had cows when we travel, we kind of notice them in other places, and they just all have the same kind of persona, if you will. But we're hoping to. We're trying to figure out how to get our cows bred out because we don't really want to have a bull on our property. Although it being miniature, it could happen.
They're
but
good cows.
at any rate, we want to breed them out and we want to use them for both meat and milk.
Yep,
So
it's awesome.
Exciting.
It's awesome, and you never know. We may need food security depending on how things go, because there may be most fiery but mostly peaceful protests based on what we're seeing now. So let's turn back here real quick. Poly market now cracking in at an even 78 for Trump, and if we go through a couple of these key things, because if we're back here, they're not reporting Georgia, they're not reporting Ohio. They have here Kamala now at 81 to 168. And so because they tossed Illinois in on her here with its 19 electoral votes. So notice they're not throwing any of these in like Ohio and Georgia at this stage. But if we go over to Poly market, they are giving pretty strong odds here, 99 to 1. So Ohio probably went that way. Georgia at a 92 to 8. So if you wanted to right now, buy a little Georgia on Poly market to say you think Harris is going to win, it's a kind of a deal. It's kind of a deal. 8 cents gets you a buck, right?
Is that how it works?
Possibly. I don't know how they run their odds, but it would be something like that. So we can see how they're starting to score all of this out. They got Texas tossed down here at 100%. Is that already been called here? Yeah, it's already been called here too. But it's just interesting that they're not calling Georgia yet. They're too close to call here on NBC News, but it is 52 to 47, 77% of the state in. So we'll see. That would take one of those 2:30 in the morning, weird things. And I don't think that's going to happen this time. Interestingly, it's 52-47 as well in Pennsylvania. Also too early call. That's only 32%, and I get it. But Ohio, it's 55 to 43. Go ahead and call that. 17 electoral votes on that with 64% of the vote in, and 52 to 45, almost 53 to 45 in Michigan. Wisconsin, 51-47, a little bit closer. So we will see. Nothing being called yet here. We don't really have any data coming in there. North Carolina, 51-47, so kind of close, 61% in. Virginia, way too close to call. No idea on that one. And New Jersey, no surprise there. I think you could call that for Harris. Connecticut,
So
only 6% of the state in. Look at that laggard. Go Connecticut.
How does it get called officially? I mean, is there like a hotline that the states call for one of these larger news agencies? Like, how come the mainstream media gets to decide that?
Well, it's sort of a system they have. I think AP is the usual typical calling function, but anybody could call it at any time if they want to. Just huge egg on your face if it turns out you call it wrong.
If you're wrong.
So,
I mean, I wonder how they know. I mean, what they're tracking, and
yeah,
maybe that needs to change too. Add it to the list.
Yeah, I don't know. And
what did Laura say? Any single Amish guys here? I want cows too.
Yeah.
We actually talk about that jokingly, but we should start a dating website for like people that are homesteading and like living a resilient life.
Yeah.
I won't be sad if somebody else does it, but
I don't even know what a normal live stream is, but you're welcome. Glad to be hitting it here. Let's see what this one is here. My local small town butcher is a dying breed. Yeah, they are. Oh man, they are hard to find now. He buys his meat from a farmer he's known since kindergarten. Meat is heavenly. He makes sausage, smoked sausage, cash check only.
That's
Got
awesome.
it. Yeah, no, that's awesome. It is a dying breed, and we have a lot of those dying breeds happening right now in various industries all across the world, this country, right? So forestry, very hard. All the foresters are my age, white hair, all that stuff, right? Butchers, probably a lot of the trades. We're gonna have to make skills and having skills great again.
We are.
People need to know how to work and get work done.
We're trying to set that up.
and all that. So no change on that at this point in time. Let's see, poly market still sort of clocking in around. Oh, it's backed off some. It was at 78, now it's 76.9. So I wonder what happened there. Something backed up a tiny bit, and I don't think CNN's calling anything quite different at this point. So no huge surprises to talk about yet.
So the next polls close in 15 minutes or so. So how long are we staying on here for with everyone tonight?
I don't know.
How long should we do this? we'll take some suggestions. I don't know how late everybody else is staying up.
All night.
Woo!
All night.
All right, I better start drinking my Gatorade.
You better. Let me pull this up because I had a couple of things here. By the way, I haven't verified if this is actually true, but I think it is.
What?
No, just kidding.
Ew. Ooh, would you talk about that? Talk about
So
like
I thought that was
your
funny.
theories on the fake, like a lot of the crap that's fake news and how to spot the difference. Come on now.
It's a long story. And
Well,
by the way,
we've got all night. Let's go.
Elon Musk here saying absolutely, and Sean McGuire getting it right, which is any system that has software issues is insecure, period. Full stop, all done.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who wins this election, can we please switch to paper ballots? And we should. And by the way, editorially, nobody's done anything about this since 2004. They didn't do anything about 2008, not 2012, 16, 20, 22. I mean, 24, nothing, right? Neither party has done anything about this.
How would you change it though? Like, what would you have to go through? Is it like a government thing that only certain people can make that final decision? Is it something that we, the people, can be like,
well, it turns
enough?
out states have a lot of rights in terms of how they conduct their voting and all that. But at the federal level, at a minimum, you would investigate the machines and you would declare them to be either secure or insecure. That's easy.
Not with APAC next to you.
Not with APAC, I know. Not with whatever else going on. Not with the deep state. Not with the fact that, I mean, here's how you know when you have a captured system. When you have an 11% approval rating and a 95% incumbent reelection rate. That's why nobody says anything about this. Just to be clear, we have a uniparty problem. This isn't left versus right. I know it gets cast that way every time. Now, this time we do have a little extra Trump derangement on top of this with some mental health issues, a lot of cluster B and, you know, dark triad sorts of things going on. But so there's a lot more fragility in the system at this stage, but we do not have a secure voting system. We do not have a verifiable voting system. That's the problem. And neither party has made anything about that. Right. Now, I don't understand why. Well, okay. So editorially, here's what I think about this. Cicero, and back in ancient Roman times, the mark of an evolved human being, like if you were a mature man or woman, you had the ability to speak in public. And so they had all of these things you could learn to be a great orator. But the point of oration in public was to be able to sway and convince people to do things. And they did awesome things. Some cheeky bastard had to sit down at one point and say, let's build a Colosseum. Wait, you haven't seen the plans yet, right? That was a really magnificently, like that was an amazing thing. So they must have had this incredible power of persuasion. So if you are a strong human being, you love competition because it makes you stronger. And so you've all heard the pithy aphorism, which is that hard men create good times, and good times create weak men, and weak men create bad times, and bad times create hard men, right? You could put women in there too. Point being that anybody by default who says, you know, I could either figure out how to communicate effectively and sway people to my point of view, or I could cheat in an election, they are a weak person. We have weakness shot through, and they're going to create bad times.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I care about this so much. You know, it's not so much that I want this candidate over that, but if you had honest voting, you can't be somebody who hides in a basement or, you know, can't finish a sentence or has the inability to think on your feet, right? So I've seen some pretty impressive orators come along of late. JD Vance is actually pretty good. He's really quite good at speaking in public.
He is actually. And all those like gotcha moments that
the
media set him up for, he responded to really well.
I thought so. Vivek Ramaswamy is just.
I was about to mention him.
He's wicked good. I mean, his just ability.
He's a little too good.
Maybe a little too good.
He scares me. I'm like, wait, how did you just say what I wanted to hear? Wait, what?
Yep.
How does he? Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive. But point being that a fraudulent, unverifiable voting system is a guarantee that you get weak people, which is a guarantee that you end up with hard times. So if you care about the country, if you care about what we're leaving behind, if you want your children and grandchildren to have an inheritable future, by definition, you care about having a robust system of electoral processes so that you can't just sneak through these weak losers, right? And by the way, with an 11% approval rating, we got a lot of weak losers in Congress and in the Senate, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just there. And of course, obviously we'd want term limits and other things too, because it really shouldn't be a permanent position. You shouldn't be there 40 years, right?
No, because then you become enmeshed. And that's when I think the corruption can happen, because it becomes all this quid pro quo crap, and people don't have to earn their position time and time again in the same way,
Yep.
Like you do when nobody knows who you are and you have to be there on your merit,
Yep.
It's just different.
I mean, obviously, as Celsius is writing here, blockchain technology, of course, yes, blockchain technology would be a very secure. I would bet you that you could get 4 quality blockchain developers and give them 2 weeks and they could come up with a voting system.
Oh, of course they could.
I mean, that would be that. That would be that. But the point is that if we wanted it, we would have it, and we don't have it, which means the people in power don't want it. And we should ask the question. And I submit to you, the reason that they don't want it is because they are weak individuals.
Mm-hmm.
They're just weak. They don't have any confidence in their ability to stand up, have endurance, and campaign. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I will say editorially, I can't believe I would not have been able to keep up with Trump. Did you see he did like something like 50 events in like 10 days and he's up till 2 a.m. and he's just like that's that is grueling. That is grueling. We went to Pittsburgh for the weekend and I came home and crashed. Okay.
And you were just on one panel. You weren't like in front of like 30,000 people every night. No,
I get it. Yeah.
It's totally wild.
Yeah.
And one quick thing is Chris talks a lot about this, but I think it's really critical. We're coming up on an interesting time in history where we're going to have to figure out our energy policy in this country. And fossil fuels has essentially made the last few hundred years relatively easy. And I don't think that's going to be that way forever. And no, windmills and solar aren't going to be the answer either. And so we're going to have to come up with some things, and we're going to have to make some hard decisions as a world, not even just as a nation. And we need true leadership in this era. It's almost worse because of all the things juxtaposed.
Yeah, agree. How about I like this, which says, my interest in this election from Belrick is for a repeat of 2016 mask slipping tantrums from the left. Well, as we check in with Polymarket here, it looks like it's snuck back up. Now we're at 79.4% to 19.9. So basically 80-20 at this stage here at about 9:53. If you believe in Polymarket, you could call it right now and say, we know how this is going to turn out. So I do believe, Belrick, we're going to be seeing some of those mask slipping tantrums from the left. You know what? I will. I'm taking a screenshot of this right now.
Just in case, because you never know. And this isn't
grabbed
data. This is just...
It's been grabbed. Okay. It's my favorite. I use Snagit all the time.
I've never heard of Polymarket as a way to like tell what's going on.
Yep.
So who knows if this is a reliable method or not. But
yep. How about this? Astro Boy SpaceX asked, hey, Chris, what about those machines where changing the vote when printing out the hard copy? We saw the glitches. I ran through some slides earlier. Glitches. But they're always one way. They always went in the favor of. I never saw a glitch, and maybe it just didn't get recorded, where somebody was trying to press Kamala Harris, but it kept defaulting to Trump instead. I saw lots, well, 2 at least, but where somebody kept trying to press Trump and it kept defaulting to Harris. I saw that. So
weird.
yeah, that's a thing, obviously. But all the glitches seem to have gone one way. So question for everybody who's here:
if it happens like that, it's not a glitch.
If we do have a Trump victory tonight, how many of you think we're going to be seeing social unrest? Fiery but mostly peaceful protests. Something more than just a couple of trash cans tipped over by some drunk rowdies. How many of you think we're going to be seeing serious things on fire?
If they call it for Trump?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. The West Coast is going to burn.
You think it's the West Coast?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I don't know. I think LA and California would just not be happy.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think there's definitely very unhappy people. Well,
Washington State.
And by the way, Solar Storm writing, UK election worker here, paper ballots are the way. I would go to war to defend our election process here. It's very transparent. Of course, it's easy.
Oh, I love hearing that. That's what I want.
Paper ballots. Let's just do paper ballots. Anybody who says let's not do paper ballots is just not. They don't believe in democracy, our democracy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe in the system at all. They're just here to game it and rig it, which means they're weak people.
Elon was talking about this on Joe Rogan. He was talking about voting and ballots and all of that. And I mean, he knows technology as well as anybody. And he's like, yeah, this is not a good system.
I don't know. Chris, Yosek asking, how does Vermont keep electing a Republican governor by 4x, but not vote Trump? I don't know.
That is interesting.
Yeah, no idea. Cosmic Wench. It's closing in on 10 o'clock. So we're just taking a look here. So yeah, we've been going for a while, but pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can hear the excitement in your voice. It's amazing.
Harambe says hard time, man. Hard man time. Yeah.
Hard man time. That's right.
Go
there
Harambe. And he's up there with Peanut in the sky right now, unfortunately. I know.
I don't want it to be that way. It doesn't have to be this way. But you know what? I keep reminding myself that we were born for this. In some way. We're meant to be here at this time with this situation, these people, these specific challenges.
Yeah. Caddis guy. I like caddis flies, by the way. So good name. Should California just separate? I think everyone would be better off. I agree.
Yeah, let's just
break
up.
Let's just break up. It's not you, it's us. And you can keep all your debt and just have at it. And do whatever you want to do. They've got some horrifying ballots and measures that they've been trying to push through in California for a long time, right? Things around stripping parental rights away, around trans issues, making doctors, get in trouble if they spread misinformation, even though, who's the arbiter of that.
Totalitarian rule is going down there first.
Listen, if they want to get all totalitarian about all this, go for it. I think people should be able to vote with their feet and say, I don't want to live there. You might decide Idaho's better or not, or you like Vermont better or not. But if they have different flavors and give you an actual opportunity to select, that would be something.
Think about it though, if this does go the wrong way, the Democrats have been the left, the deep state, whatever it is, the alien that's been managing our democracy for a while, right?
Yep.
They just import a whole bunch of illegals who permanently reside there. Think about the swing states. They're swing states because it could go either way. But if they imported X number of, you know what I mean? This could be the last semi-democratic election we ever have. I could see it going that way. Can you imagine? If they import illegals who then vote Democrat because
that's terrible.
They're incentivized to do so. Or
you
forced,
show me the
or
incentive,
whatever.
I will show you the outcome.
Ugh, gross. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to hope. I'm not going to get excited yet, but I'm going to hope.
Well, question is, would riots on the left still happen if Harris wins because of Harris's foreign policies? Cough, cough, Palestine. That was a hard spot for that side of things. They couldn't quite resolve that because it's quite obviously not a popular thing to be seeing people getting carpet bombed in a residential sort of a situation. And a lot of people, particularly younger people in college campuses, said, yeah, and how about not? We don't do that. And there was just no space to have a decent conversation about that. You just got shouted down and they had to ignore it.
Yeah.
But it's very clearly not a cool thing. I'm a super anti-interventionist. I'm an isolationist. I'm like, you know what? Let's just bring all our troops home. We shouldn't be in 170 countries. If Ukraine can't figure out how to get along with its neighbors, it's kind of on them. We'll wish them well, but wave. If Israel can't figure out how to get along with its neighbors, we wish them well and we wave. Good luck with that. Everybody's got to figure out how to get along with their neighbors. I don't know why it's my tax dollars, my blood, my treasures, responsibility.
Your children.
Our children, right? To have to step up into the fray and die for these things because these people forgot how to do diplomacy. Not a fan, personally. Well, who's laughing at Arnold here? I saw that. Lol, Arnold. Look, just because Arnie was sitting right next to, John Podesta, it looked like a hostage video, didn't it? I mean, you could almost imagine that John Podesta had like a gun pointed to his side. Hey, quick question. What do Arnold Schwarzenegger and Kamala's husband have in common? They both got their nannies pregnant. Ta-da! They have a lot in common.
Oh, boy.
They do. They have a lot in common. So if those of you haven't tracked what's going on with the whole Podesta brothers, it's gross.
Nasty. Well, that's actually what made me so infuriated hearing about Jill Biden wearing a frickin' panda costume.
Okay,
I was
let's
like,
not go there.
Are you kidding
Let's
me?
save people from that. You're on your own if you want to go look into that.
Yeah.
It is really awful.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
It's child trafficking.
Speaking
Gross.
of which, we are now at 82 to 20. It doesn't even add up to 100, so I don't know what's happening. But,
Yeah. Well, go to the real map. This is just hope.
No, this is betting. This is money. This is the money map. That's the money
I know,
map.
but you're betting that the betting is going to tell you the true story.
Ooh, NBC, they just updated it to 201 to 81. Uh-oh. I am smelling some unhappy people coming. This looks... And by the way, they finally throw Ohio towards... They haven't done Georgia yet, but I think they're going to have to soon. With 75% in, very unlikely to close that gap. They would have to come in at a statistically odd ratio, which can happen if you're not paying attention. And it kind of looks like they're going to have to throw North Carolina in at this stage. Virginia, nope. That's way too close to call. Way too close to call in Pennsylvania, though. That's interesting. I wonder if Trump can get to a win without Pennsylvania. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but man, Pennsylvania, what a corrupt state. Also, that's pretty close, but I think you could throw Michigan to Kamala. Wisconsin, a little close, but only 35% in. We'll see. Only 2% in, so we have no idea what's happening there. None. Interesting. Nebraska. I'm a little disappointed in y'all. On that one.
Colorado too.
Well, Colorado got infested. Sorry. A lot of people from California moved there. It's kind of like somebody earlier said, if they could just throw the 20 miles of California closest to the coast in and all the rest. So this is really a tale of two states, right? So you and I, we live here in Western Massachusetts. We share almost nothing in common with our Boston brethren. And the same is true of people who live in Eastern Oregon, Eastern Washington. They want nothing to do with being lorded over by this democratic process where, a couple of hotspot cities end up having more votes because they're more densely packed in there, and they vote urban sort of things. And then they just crap all over the country people, call them deplorables, call them garbage. But I don't see them complaining when the steaks show up in their restaurants.
Yeah, I don't see that either. Or the vegetables.
I wonder if he can get there without Pennsylvania. I don't know. So let's add it up. He's at 201. This is too close to call.
35% in.
So if he got 5 plus 16 is 21, plus another 16 is 37. Does he get there? 37. No, he still needs another 40. Well, 30, 33. Plus 10.
So
Yeah, I don't know.
I know this doesn't necessarily.
They're going to be pulling out all this. That's why all of those glitches we saw were in Pennsylvania so far.
I know.
That's why we saw that.
So, and I hope there are lots of investigations if it does go the other way. You know, if there are shenanigans in there happening to that end. But talk about, if you would, for a second, while we're waiting for more things to come in, could you share a little bit about why it doesn't make sense when there's a huge change in statistics at the end? Like at the end of the night, all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, this unknown amount of votes came in for one party or the other. Can you talk about why that's improbable?
Well, so as a person who has facility with numbers and is statistically trained, there's something called the law of large numbers, right? So let's imagine that we're trying to do, we're kind of voting on the average height of men in Boston, right? City of 5 million, let's imagine. And so you sample one guy and he's 5'6", and then you sample another guy and he's 6'10", right? And you have this really chattery sort of a number as you're going. But by the time you've pulled 1 million men out, you're starting to really get towards the law of large numbers. You're getting towards a mean that really matters.
Okay.
Right. So assuming all things are equal, assuming that what you haven't done is accidentally saved up like a really heavily concentrated part of the city that typically votes just one way. But that's not what's happening in those late night things. That typically you have all the counties have reported and they all asymptote out like this, that the curves come up and they end like this. And it's kind of like they said, oh, well, we just measured another 10,000 men and the average, instead of being 5'10", is now 6'3". Like it's this jump. It just doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have to be that what you did when you measured those last 10,000 men was they were all basketball players.
And you just happen to have a team at the end.
And you happen to have 10,000 basketball players in state for some reason at that moment. It's very statistically, it just doesn't work out. So these things tend to asymptote over and go like that. And then we had all these jumps, right? They just don't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just not how this works, right? But you had to accept that that's how it worked that night. It's just like, oh, steel frame buildings fell down. Just one day it happened, accept it, right? Yep. So these are these things you're just supposed to accept, oh, there was this magic bullet. It went through this, went here, went up there, went down there. Fell out on the gurney, right? It's like, no, it's not how this works.
So at what percentage in their counting is the state, would you get more or less a sense of what the total is going to be?
Well, again, assuming that we haven't just counted all the rural areas and we forgot to count the cities, which can really skew things because they tend to vote differently.
Right.
But assuming that what you're doing is you're getting precincts are coming in and they're giving you the results as they're coming in. And you got all of them reporting in essence, but reporting at some fraction of doneness, right? It's usually by the time you get to 75%, you know where you are. These things should sort of settle along.
So like there shouldn't be any late night surprises.
No, I mean, and it could be that, people who, we had these ballots that were mail in and people who vote mail in tend to be Democrat. But honestly, when we look at what happened in 2020, we find that, like, I have this image from Texas where there were 20 separate signatures on these ballots with 20 separate addresses where they were the same person filling them out. The sevens all had a very distinct characteristic. They just looked the same, but you could clearly identify that these were fraudulent. And as soon as you detect one level of fraudulence, you have to throw them all out, right? And the second thing we had back in 2020 was I saw this. So there was this gentleman, I forgot his name. He was one of the people, if you ever use a pay by toll, he was the inventor of that, a very inventor kind of guy. He knows his stuff. And he said, look, I can prove to you that there was all this fraud in these places that had these ballots that came in. And the reason he could prove that, and the person interviewing him said, yeah, but they shredded all the ballots. It's just paper bags of like strips. He said, I can still prove it. Here's why. So when you have a ballot, it's supposed to be printed on a very special type of machine, but it comes out in a really big piece of paper. Did you see the unfolded ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, those had to be folded, in order to get them into these mailing envelopes. So they typically would have 1, 2, 3 folds. Whenever you crease something, like imagine an old picture, if you crease it and you uncrease it, there's a mark there where the crease was.
Yeah.
The study of creasing is actually a science because people need to know how to crease stuff to make envelopes, for cardboard. The art of folding, and it has a name, and the scientific name is kinematics. So he said, I can guarantee you that I can look at one of those strips that they already shredded, and I can look along that strip, and if it doesn't have the right number of folds in the right spots, in fact, I can show you, I can prove I had bags of these things. They'd never been folded once. So when we saw all those videos of people pulling out stacks of things and feeding them in, and then they shredded them right away, they were pulling out ballots that had just come straight off a printer, hadn't been mailed, right? Because in order to mail these things, they have to get triple folded. There's this machine, there's the envelopes, it has a little blower, they get inserted in, right? And then they get sealed, and then they get rolled again, so they get really squished down because they have to be pretty flat because you don't want them all fat, so they squish them again. So they're really heavily creased. Then they get mailed, they end up in somebody's house, they open the envelope, they pull this thing out, they unfold it, they mark their ballots, positions, they fold them back up again.
All right.
They put them back in an envelope. They get them, they drop them in a box, or they mail them, however they got them there. And then somebody on the other end opens them up again and unfolds them. So from a kinematic standpoint, there were 3 folding episodes, right?
Interesting.
And they had strips that they found. Oh, but they've already been shredded. They had strips that had never been folded. Full stop, guaranteed, 100%. That was full evidence of fraud. Now, you would think as soon as you have evidence of fraud, that's it, all done. Toss those results, rerun the election. But of course, none of that happened.
Why don't they do that?
And then when they tried to bring this evidence into court, the courts would typically say, well, you don't have standing. So no, we're not going to permit this. And then later people go, oh, there was never any evidence presented in court. It's like, no, that's not what happened. It's not how it was never actually presented.
We know that courts are far from being just ever. And it's because it's humans and fallibility and all sorts of things, but it's rare that justice is served in court.
Yeah. All right. Kevin Beckett, frozen north. Hi, we were 80 degrees down here today, Kevin. We're just a little south of you, so I don't know how frozen you were today.
Where?
It was pretty warm.
Where is he saying?
Pretty warm here today. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Beckett as in like Beckett, the town nearby.
No,
I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, a little confusion. We have a Beckett nearby, but it ain't Kevin.
It ain't Kevin.
He's way up in the frozen
Kevin.
north. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's check back in here. Let's see what we're doing. See if anything has changed here. Nothing has changed there yet. Ooh, big update. Big update. Poly market now throwing down with a really rugged 88.6 to 9.7. Kamala's odds have shrunk by 31.9%. Trump's have raised up by 27.4. Man, this better be a really potent 2:30 in the morning. We're going to need a big old 2:30 in the morning to get Harris back in, if that's what they want to do here. I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off.
I've never even heard of Poly Market, though. Who is this, like a right-leaning? I don't know. I want to know more about them before I trust their prediction.
It's a betting market.
Yeah, I know, but like
it's a betting
just
market.
Like like Twitter seems to be more in the business of allowing free speech.
Like it's not just a betting market. Last I checked, if I can believe it, there were about $2 billion riding on this. Like there was big money in here.
Okay.
So yeah, like this isn't just like a couple of guys with dollar bills.
Hopium. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
In an alley with some dice, right? It's a little bit,
Okay.
a little bit more than that. So,
but they have Michigan and Wisconsin that didn't seem to be going
they have
that
them
way
at
before.
76 and 24. I don't know where they're getting their stuff from. So
Yeah.
it's not a slam dunk. This is sort of like, these are pinkish.
Hmm.
They're not bright red. Like, you see Ohio's bright red?
Yeah. Let's look at the NBC map again.
Well, I wonder who has the most current map.
Does anybody have a most current map that you recommend other than the ones we're using?
Well, let's
drop it in the comments if you do.
See, look, CNN's way behind the curve. They don't even have Ohio, and that's a slam dunk. So we can clearly throw down on that. NBC does have Ohio here.
What about Fox News?
Let's see. They haven't updated anything in a while. Okay, well, yeah, let's check in on Fox here. I'll save you all from my furious typing here, so nobody goes into epileptic fit.
The AP's map is very accurate. Hitman says.
Okay.
Hitman 47. Thank you.
Okay, AP vote map. Let me pull that up. Thank you. Images. News USA, Yahoo, AP results. Maybe this'll.
No, it looks like an article somebody wrote.
Okay, that's not what I wanted.
Typing or piano keys, keyboard either way.
Yeah, you know. That's old. That's no good. That's not the one I wanted. Let's see where we're at here on faux news.
New York Times. They all use AP's results anyway.
Do they?
Apparently.
Well, why didn't it pull up right away?
What are you searching in? Bing?
Oh.
That's why.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It keeps coming back and saying it wants to be my
Chris looks like he needs 2 more monitors.
4.
No.
4.
We just renovated this and got a whole bunch of stuff out, and we actually have room in here to move. Don't encourage him.
All right, so looks like we have the AP vote map up now. That's good. So thanks for that suggestion. Let's see where we're at. They still have it back at 198 to 109.
Wow, so they advanced her by a lot more than.
Yeah, so what do we have? We have basically New England and Illinois and Colorado. And these are saying are leaning her way.
California, Oh, man, I hate that California has so many freaking. Why can't we just do the popular vote already?
Arizona, that's really tight. I don't trust Arizona at all. I think they cheated wildly and badly last time.
You think so?
Yep, I absolutely do. We got to meet Carrie Lake that one time.
Yeah, I do remember.
She had tons of explorations with the legal system down there, and it was really bad. They proved beyond a shadow of a doubt in court, as far as I'm concerned, that there was shenanigans in 2020. And what do you do? It's like, oh well, we've already sort of like installed this other governor. So anyway, lots of shenanigans. Arizona was embarrassingly bad around that.
Why don't we just have a popular vote? Why don't we change that? It seems archaic at this point. I'm not sure there's a benefit to our electoral college.
I kind of wish we just sort of break up into individual states again. I don't even like the whole federal thing at all at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but Hitman is saying that we are still waiting for 7 counties in Arizona to report, and 6 of those are very R-leaning. So hopefully they're well-populated counties. That's good to know.
Thank you.
So we'll check in on that. Laura Lisa M saying, at least Trump knows how to retain his accent and really work for McDonald's. We did well when he was president. If Harris somehow gets another 4 years, we are finished. That's kind of how I feel too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we're going to have same issues, but like no good leadership at the top to help us deal with them.
Yep. Look at UK odds checker. All our bookies are in one place. Okay. We'll take a peek at that. Moonshine from a mason jar. Well, how else do you do it on election night? Obviously.
Does the Electoral College keep the large cities from controlling it all? Well, we could just have a popular vote for the entire country is what I'm trying to say, right? So whoever gets the most votes.
Yeah.
Like instead of each state.
That's what I want. Strong states, weak federal powers.
That would be nice.
That's what I would like. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
She wants a popular vote? Yikes.
Well, Mongo the Pawn saying, if you want California insanity, popular vote is the easiest way to get that.
I guess so. I guess that's true. I don't know. I don't know I don't remember enough about all of that.
Yeah.
I know it made sense back in the day when places were more sparsely populated and blah, 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 but.
Yep. All right. So I think that's about as far as we can go here.
Yeah.
Until we're going to have to stay up very, very late to get the rest. So I think we're going to have to call it here and wake up like everybody else and find out what happened.
Yeah.
But I would be remiss if I didn't point out that let's take a screenshot.
All right, give me
of that.
a minute. Hold on.
That's a screenshot.
Talk for a second. Okay.
There you go. Okay. Well, whether or not you can believe Polymarket, I don't know.
I'll go to the UK.
Take a second to get there. We'll just sort of like chip through here, see where we're at. So they pulled in another 6 for Donald Trump. So this is going to be interesting. A lot depends on those few swing states. Obviously, from my point of view, if we had paper ballots, I think this is a no-brainer what actually happens based on what I was seeing at rallies, based on the people we've been talking to, based on signage we've seen around, things like that. I get it. Some people want to vote for Kamala. I get it. Some people just don't want to vote for Donald Trump. I get it. But from my perspective, if we had paper ballots, I am reasonably confident that this would be a no-brainer. And I know that we have election shenanigans. I know that, I hope we don't forget this as we go on. I really just want to go back to rough and tumble voting politics. Paper ballots made the best person actually win. 2 counters. It's over in a matter of hours. Like when the polls close, it really doesn't take that much time to sort of tabulate your results. Write them down on a whiteboard with both parties watching. Send them up the chain. And you can verify that forward and backwards if you ever had to. Because remember, you shouldn't trust your voting system ever. There's power on the line. There's money on the line. There's prestige on the line. There's ego on the line. Verify. They need to be verifiable. Anybody who ever says you can trust the voting system is talking out their butt. It's not how any of this should ever work because we're humans. Money's on the line and power and prestige and all that other stuff related to ego, greed, avarice, the 7 deadly sins. Anything related to that. It's just humans. It's humans. So we need to be able to verify that. And so this is pretty intense process. I can't wait to see what actually happens tomorrow, how people react. I wonder if we're going to have results. I don't know. We will have to see. So, yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. Let's see. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody being here. Hey, at peak prosperity, what happens to the number of seats California holds when everyone is leaving? Well, they shrink, obviously, as they should, but they're replacing them pretty quickly with migrants coming in. So Read and Weep is saying that NBC is using projections, and so I'd much rather have actual results than projections, of course. And let's see. Thank you for your time. By far, the most interesting coverage. Well, thank you, Cosmic Wench. You have the most interesting screen name here tonight. So really good stuff. And TJ Keefe, hi from Montana native. Hey, Montana native. Yeah. Oh, so good. You know, we loved your part of the world out there. I'd love to see you next time we go out. It was our honeymoon, so we kept it pretty private and all that. So hold up. Hold the presses. Huge news. Trump has taken lead in Pennsylvania. Hang on. Where are we getting that news from? Let's dial in. Let me just see if they've updated this. Oh, that is, look at that. He's now 51-48 in Pennsylvania. Oh, that is a big deal. That was a big swing.
Huh.
I think if he takes Pennsylvania, it's all over. That's the end of that. So that's probably the most important swing state at this particular moment. Because I'm confident. Yeah. 85% of the votes in Georgia. They're still saying it's too close to call. No, it's not. Not with 85% in. Law of large numbers. Those things should be asymptoting out towards their natural conclusions. Probably the same with North Carolina. Here with 83% in, I think we can call that one. And that is still, it's probably going to Harris with 70% in, but that could also swing. And then with Pennsylvania with only 54% in, but yeah, it's interesting. It did flip there towards Trump. Yeah, I don't know that Maine's got much going on. Weird that New Hampshire's coming in hard for Harris. I don't quite understand that. Are you almost done there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Michigan looks like that's swinging to Harris. That's way too close to call. Can't say anything about that. But interestingly, 3% in. Can't say anything about that. And Arizona. Hard to say. All right. With that, Evie,
I've got
land this
something
plane.
to read, y'all. No, I can't say that. I'm not from an area that talks like that. I wish I was, though. The southern drawl. I wanted to read a poem called The Journey, and it's by one of my favorite poets. Her name is Mary Oliver. I thought you might appreciate it. She says, "One day you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble, and you felt the old tug at your ankles. End my life," each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save.
Thank
Again,
you for that,
that's
Evie.
The Journey by Mary Oliver.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. What a ride. We'll wake up tomorrow and digest it. If you want to know what's going on, what we're thinking, peakprosperity.com obviously is where I'm going to be hanging out with all of my and our Peak Prosperity subscribers, just digesting all of this. But please have a very peaceful and not very fiery night. And this has been a wild ride so far. We'll see what the night brings.
And it was such a pleasure spending time with everyone. So thank you so much for tuning in with us.
Absolutely. All right. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you for being here. And we'll tune in tomorrow and see what happened.